Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here, and we're going to have the second night of a back-to-back today against New Orleans Pelicans. And we lost to the Rockets last night in a game that, was winnable. We could have won that game. It's just we had two Raptors show up and play to their ability, and the rest of them didn't do enough in contribution ways to help us win. You go on the other side of the team with the Rockets, and you got three starters scoring over 20, and you got Clint Capella getting 11 rebounds off the bench. That's four guys right there on the Rockets side that gave good contributions. Meanwhile, on the Raptors side, you got two guys giving good contributions, and that's Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett. And then the rest of the Raptors are not getting to the level that they should be to contribute to help the team. And it sucks. It sucks. In some ways, the rebounding advantage for the Rockets was a huge Achilles heel for the Raptors last night. Clint Capella off the bench rebounding was a really big problem last night, and just bad timing with Jakob getting sick and Trace hurting his finger, and Collins still being out with his thumb. It's just a bad timing, and this is not the time for this kind of stuff to be happening because the Florida teams are coming, and now we're tied with Orlando, and we're just a half game above the other team too. Like, so we're all really bunched together, and even though we're in the fifth spot, we're kind of really close to the seventh spot in the play-in, and that's no good. That's like tonight's a must win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Raptors must win against the Pelicans tonight. I hope that Brandon Ingram can, get some good energy up and get some confident, strong energy because he's sheepish right now and he's missing too many shots because he's not locked in and dialed in. You're playing your former team today. You're playing against a team that you spent many years in that city, and this will be the first time you return there since you've become a Raptor. Well, I want to see what kind of energy you have, Brandon. I know you have a lot of love for Crescent City and your former teammates, the Pelicans. Well, you have enough love to go and kick their butt and put up a big number and get dialed in and locked in again as a player and make your shots. Can we have that tonight? I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. All right, let's do the preview for the New Orleans Pelicans game tonight. And then we'll go back and we'll do the stars of the game and react more to the Houston game. And I have more to say about it still. Yeah, I do. All right, so let me go check. First of all, injury report. Right now, Yak is still listed on the Raptors injury report. This is the thing. He could be sick where it's not even about giving him one night off for his back, where he has to miss both games because of his sickness. That's not ideal. Hopefully he does play today, but there's no guarantees because it's not Yak's back that made him miss a game yesterday. He was sick, not feeling well. AJ Lawson's been out because of an ankle injury recently. He's listed as out still. Trace Jackson Davis is listed as out due to his middle finger injury. Colin Murray-Boyles is listed as out due to his thumb. And Chucky Hepburn's out due to his meniscus. Yeah, we did see a Notorious Barbecue Mamu to start the game yesterday. And in some ways, that was good for the size of the Rockets, but it didn't really add up to contributions from the starting lineup and the full strength that it should have, which is unfortunate. But it wasn't just him. A big, huge part of it was Brandon not pulling his weight in some ways there. Yeah, not pulling his weight. So yeah, we'll just have to see who the lineup will be. If Yak is healthy, we should get our regular starting five. We should get our regular starting. We should get our regular starting five. I hope we do. The ESPN matchup predictor is not being very nice to the Raptors today. They really don't like us on ESPN these days. In a couple places, they think this is a 50-50 match. They think that it's 50-50 who could win today. I get it. They're at home, but we have a better record than them, and they're not in the playoffs. How can there be a 50% chance for the Raptors to win today and a 50% chance for the Pelicans to win today? Yeah, you should be favoring us, but they're not. In fact, yesterday when I checked it, they were favoring the Pelicans over the Raptors, ESPN's matchup predictor. Yikes. Good thing that they're not very good at predicting things. Let's just put it that way. On the other side of things, let's look at their injuries. They only have one guy listed, and that's Bryce McGowan's. Bryce McGowan's has been a two-way, a G League player, a young player in the league. He will not be playing against the Raptors today due to fractured right toe. Now, we do need to point out that the Pelicans aren't playing on a back-to-back like we are. So they have an advantage of that we're coming in from a night before. But still, that can be a factor of good for the Raptors, especially since they lost and they didn't do as well as they could have against the Rockets. They maybe have the gumption to try and get a win tonight more because of the fresh game from last night. So who are the Pelicans? We have not seen them yet this year, and they've had a lot of change to their team over the course of the trade deadline and other times since we've seen them. So let's see who they are. The starting lineup of the Pelicans currently is at point guard, DeJounte Murray, Trey Murphy III at shooting guard. Sadiq Bey is healthy, and he is playing at small forward. Zion Williamson is playing right now at power forward, and Herb Jones is slotted at center, which don't make no sense to me. So, yeah, that's their lineup right now. Murray, Murphy, Bey, Williamson, and Jones. Jones really plays center? Seriously? Well, maybe we don't need Jakob tonight. If they're running Herbert Jones at center, that don't make no sense. It's more like Zion's the center because he's the biggest guy, and Herb Jones is playing forward with those other guys. I don't know. Off the bench in their rotation, they got Jeremiah Fears, the rookie, and Derek Queen, the rookie. Yves Missy is the backup center. They've also got Carlo Matkovic. He's a young big that we've seen before, I think, in G League. Jordan Poole is still on this team, and he is somewhere buried in the bench, somewhere down there. He's not starting. Micah Peavy, DeAndre Jordan is on this team as a backup big down the longtime veteran. Jordan Hawkins is on this team still too. So you got two Jordans that shoot down at the end of the bench. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much their guys. Now they have had some success in recent months. You know, they've had really long, bad losing streaks, especially from the start of the season into December. But they did go through some winning more recently. And in fact, they have won 6 of their last 9 games. So they are trending to win a bit right now. But, well, we'll just have to see. They did beat Washington this weekend on Sunday in their last game. That's the last game they played. They've had 2 days off, and we played last night. So, yeah, they've won 6 out of their last 9 games. So they're a little bit dangerous right now. We have a worse trend of losing than they do right now. So that is something to note going into this matchup tonight. All right, let's check the refs. The referees in Secaucus for today, watching from the replay center, will be Aaron Smith and Shea Flores. They were both there last night, too. So they're still there. And, well, this is the refs that are on site for the Raptors game against New Orleans Pelicans in their Smoothie King Arena. Number 1 ref, crew chief, is Brett Bernecki, the lawyer, number 36 in his 16th season out of Hamilton, Ohio. His favorite TV show is Hardwood Classics. His favorite movie is For the Love of the Game. His favorite musician is Chris Botti. His favorite book is Ego is the Enemy. His favorite meal is chicken parmesan. He uses FaceTime. He'd most like to visit Italy, and he'd also like to go to the Great Barrier Reef and scuba dive. Yeah. Brent Barnecki and his wife have 3 children. Yeah. Brent has been a ref for us many times this year. This will actually be the 6th game that he refereed for the Raptors this season. We've seen Barnecki a lot. Right now, his record for the season, it was unblemished. He was 4-0, but we lost the last game he refed. So we're 4-1 for the season with Brent, and that's not bad. That's pretty good. Our record is 46% winning. And, well, it's the same for the Pelicans, but slightly lower, 46% winning for them also. So it's a split for the crew chief. Brent Bernanke with the home court advantage. In some ways, you say that he favors the Pelicans. So 45.9 versus 45.5 for the Raptors slightly. But really, in some ways, with the home court advantage, it's even. It's an even split for the crew chief. The second ref is one of the best refs for the Raptors in the league, Jason Goldenberg. That's right. Atlanta, Georgia, 9th season, number 35. He likes Curb Your Enthusiasm, the movie Tommy Boy. He listens to Rufus Du Sol. His favorite book is Ego is the Enemy. So I guess that's the theme of today is the book, Ego is the Enemy. Ego is the Enemy. Who writes that book? Because it's like Bernanke and Goldenberg are both into that book. Let's see, who is the writer of that book? The Ryan Holiday. Ego is the Enemy. The fight to master your brain. That's interesting, man. Yeah, okay. So he's not Eckhart Tolle or anything like that, but Ego is the Enemy is a common theme. Also, chicken parmesan. I guess they both like chicken parmesan too. Are they the same person? His favorite app is NBA. He most like to visit Australia and to sail around the world in a mega yacht. You know, you could sail around the world. You don't need to do it in a big polluting mega yacht, Jason Goldenberg. I'll just say that. And maybe you can go with Brett Bernanke and he can go scuba dive in the Great Barrier Reef while you're going around like that. Jason Goldenberg has 4 seasons of collegiate experience with assignments in the Big South, Ohio Valley, and Southern conferences. We've had Goldenberg twice this year. We've won one and we've lost one. We lost the last game he refereed. So we're 1-1 for the season. And, well, like I said, he's one of the best refs in the league for the Raptors percentage-wise. We win 2 out of 3 games when he's refereeing. We're 67% winning. And, well, the Pelicans are 43% winning. So 67-43 for the Raptors strongly with the second ref, Jason Goldenberg. So, yeah, that's a good sign right there. The last ref is a junior ref, a guy who has not reffed a whole lot at all in his career at all. It's Tyler Ricks, number 95. That's not a good omen that he's number 95, by the way, like our Raptor. His second season out of Lawrenceville, Georgia. So we got a couple of Georgia boys here with him and Goldenberg. His favorite TV show is The Office. His favorite movie is Wedding Crashers. He likes the musician Lily Rose. His favorite book is James Patterson. His favorite meal is seafood. He likes the ESPN app. So we've got 2 ESPN apps. He must like to visit Japan, and his bucket list is cooking class in Italy with his wife. So your bucket list is to go to Italy and take a cooking class with your wife? Really? Okay. I mean, that's your deal, bro. That's interesting, man. That's interesting. That's what you want to do when you're there, is take the cooking class? I guess the Italian cuisine is kind of interesting and a big deal and stuff. Yeah, Tyler Ricks has not refereed either one of these teams very much at all. We have not seen Tyler Ricks this year yet. So Tyler Ricks is in his second season as an NBA staff official. In 2024-25, he officiated 27 regular season games in his first season on staff. As a non-staff official, Ricks has refereed NBA regular season games in 2022-23, 6 of them, and 23-24, 8 of them. And, well, for both teams today, both the Raptors and the Pelicans, he has the same record, exactly, 1-4. So it's a 20% winning percentage for the Raptors and a 20% winning percentage for the Pelicans, split right down the middle. No variance. 1-4 with the Raptors over his short career and 1-4 for the Pelicans. So that's 5 games ref, 1 win out of the 5 games. So he's not the best ref. He's down in the worst zone. 20% winning is bad. Let's just put it that way. But he's a split. So really 2 of the refs are split, even right down the middle. And just Jason Goldenberg really favors the Raptors out of the 3 refs. Yeah, I don't know what to think of this ref crew. In some ways, Tyler Ricks is not the right Tyler. Tyler Merkovich is the Tyler we want, not Tyler Ricks. There's like the tale of 2 Tylers. Tyler Ricks, not good. Tyler Merkovich, okay, good guy. So, yeah, Goldenberg, he is a good luck charm for the Raptors, and we do well when he's usually reffing. So hopefully that'll be a factor. But yeah, Barnecki and Ricks, those guys are even. They're even in this matchup. So there's your ref report. Brent's been a really good ref, though, overall. He's been a crew chief for a lot of our games this year, and he's ran really tight ships and very fair ships. The fact that he's 4-1 with us this season it bodes well. So, I'm not hating on this crew. It was much more appalling to see Scott Foster last night than what I'm seeing today. So, the Raptors have their own destiny in their hands. The referees don't have to control their destiny. The Pelicans don't have to control their destiny. They can control their own destiny if they grasp their future by the hands and make it what they want it to be. In some ways, that's one of the biggest problems they have right now is they're not taking control of their future, taking control of their lives, taking control of the games to make them the W for Toronto. And we need that. We need that bad because that's part of the fourth quarter execution that is lacking with the Raptors team right now. That's right. All right, let me check in with y'all in the chat, see what y'all are saying. And we got we got all the regular stuff we do on the show. Trevor's words of wisdom. Good morning, Trevor. I hope you're having a good morning. The commissioner of fun. Today is another chance God placed in your hands. You don't have to have everything figured out. Just take the next step with faith. Be kind, stay hopeful, and keep your head open. God has a quiet way of blessing the days we simply choose to keep going. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Doing this stream this morning I'm feeling the grind of how long I've been doing the show. It's been 4 years, over 4 years. It'll be 5 years in September that I've done a stream on YouTube every single day. I'm coming up on half a decade. In September, I'll have 5 years straight. And this morning, in some ways, I was tired because I stayed up late to watch the interviews from after the game. And I wanted to wind down after the loss by kind of clearing my head with watching just general YouTube. And next thing I knew is almost 3 a.m. West Coast starts are later. And in some ways, they make you stay up later. And then having to get up so early and get up and do this, and not just do this stream as far as a preview for New Orleans, but a reaction for Houston, it can be a little energy overwhelming. So in some ways, I'm not totally my best right now. I'm not feeling well physically because I have a certain issue that's bothering me right now. But I feel a grind this morning, but I'm going to keep showing up. I'm here right now, right? And we're talking about what's going on with the team, with the game tonight and the game yesterday. But that's the thing, man. They won't understand my grind. Nobody on TSN, nobody on Sportsnet, nobody, none of them, because they don't go 365 days a year. And they do not show up every morning at 9:30 a.m. So I'm feeling it a little bit this morning as just to talk about it from my perspective and your words of wisdom. But I know that as long as I show up and as long as I do what I do, in some ways, what Trevor's saying is exactly right. The God above, the great creator above, thank you so much for everything, the blessings, my life, the good things, the people I love, the friends I love, the Raptors, everything. Thank you. And I will do my part and do what I'm supposed to do. And that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah. And that I believe in what Trevor's saying. All the glory to God. Thank you, Trevor J, for reminding me this morning. And blessings to the Jones family, all the Raptor Freak families. That's right. Keep going. The blessings will still come. That's right. They will keep coming. That's right. Let's see. Trevor's saying, once again, the Raptors fumbled in the fourth quarter. I know many are mad, but it's learning experiences that can be fixed with time. No, it's primetime nephew crash out night last night for sure. I'm not happy about the game. Don't get it wrong, but I'm also not. I'm going to look at it analytically, and I'll call it for what it is. And that's a two-man show. The Raptors had 2 men show up last night, nobody else. And the other team had 5 guys show up. So 5 guys versus 2. You can't beat 5 versus 2. RJ and Scotty could be out there, just the 2 of them trying to play all the Rockets. And that's kind of what that was last night. I'm not going to be nice to most of the team today. I am not. When I go through the box score, I'm going to be saying some stuff. And it's not for Raptors Nation nephews to go crazy and put targets on different Raptors. It's really just to give the credit to RJ and Scotty for showing up and playing quality basketball amidst the rest of them playing like dog shit. Let's just put it that way. I'm calling it like I see it. And if you look at the box score, you look at the way that the whole team played, it is just not up to the standard that the Raptors demand or want from them as an organization. The coach, Darko, that's not what they demand. That's not the standard that we need out there. And it was hard for me. This is how pathetic it is. RJ, number 1 star. Sure, obviously. Scotty, number 2 star. Sure, obviously. It was hard for me to find a 3rd star. And I'm like, wow, there's nobody that really fits the 3rd star here in this game because nobody else stepped up and nobody did what they are supposed to do normally. Didn't even come to the basic level of average. They were all below average. That was a big problem. And then you got Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith Jr., and Kevin Durant. And this is a big factor. Kevin won that game for them, going off and scoring very efficiently and all getting 20 points in the starting lineup. And then, like I said, Clint Capella, huge X factor off the bench, making a huge difference on the boards when he's out there. Mamu cannot stop Clint Capella on the boards. That is just the facts. Mamu can play Sengun very well. He was a great matchup against Alperin to start the game. That was a smart start for that matchup because he was somewhat effective in stopping Sengun. But Capella, he can't do jack shit with. And Capella was the killer on the boards yesterday. Yeah, he was. He was. Trevor's saying Bam got 83 last night. He had 43 free throws made, and he passed Kobe Bryant for the 2nd highest scoring total in a single game in NBA history. We talked about this recently. Wilt Chamberlain has the record, 100 points in an NBA game, and Kobe was number 2 against the Raptors, scoring 81 against us. But Bam has eclipsed Kobe's number. And as Norman gleefully pointed out in Street Clothes after the Heat game last night, it's Wilt, Bam, Kobe, the ranking now. This is a big deal, man. This is a big deal. And this has to do with my Raptors Redditor of the day. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. My Raptors Redditor of the day today is John Stamos as a bear. That sounds like a Bjork song title or something like that. And he's got a shit post, and he's got a picture of they always show these like troops taking bombs and bullets for a sleeping baby sitting in a bed. And it's basically the Raptors are the sleeping baby in the bed, and the troop is a Washington Wizard. And it's, well, slammed her for giving up 81 points. This is true. Finally, we're free, is what John Stamos as a bear is saying. Finally, we're free from the derision, the made fun of for the Kobe 81 game, because now the Wizards will get it for the Bam 83 game. That's kind of true. That's kind of true. I mean, they're never going to forget the Kobe 81. And in some ways, even though Bam got 2 more points than him, I don't know if this totally overshadows Kobe's number, because Kobe is a certain legend, and he, you know, the sad event of his death really makes him into a bigger, larger than life kind of thing and legend. And I don't know if Bam will be remembered in that kind of way. Now, maybe he does more because of the game last night. But I think that the post on Reddit has the right theme to it, is that like now the Wizards should be getting all this energy and not us. And whoever was on that court that gave Bam the opportunity to do this, Julian Reese, Julian Reese is going to be remembered for letting Bam Adebayo get 83 points. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't even want to look at the box score. I'm not going to try and go in on the Wizards for this, but I'm sure there's very cruel and mean NBA fans that want to remember every single name of the Wizards that were playing in the game last night to derisively make fun of them, like Jalen Rose and Morris Peterson and those guys that were on the Raptors jersey that got scorched by Kobe's 81. It's an interesting game. I would not have called this Bam Adebayo getting an 83 game like this. I would not have called this. In some ways, it seems manufactured and not legit. and real. Because in today's game, that happening with that kind of volume, well, the free throw attempts alone seem like that's kind of weird. And who's the refs in that game? Is what I'm kind of wondering about here. Is like, who the hell gave Bam so many free throws? Like, how did that happen? Even, let me see who the refs were. And like, it's kind of ridiculous. And we'll remember who the names are that got scored on. Pat Frere, Dedrick Taylor, and Ben Taylor. There's actually 2 Taylors. Those 3 are really good refs for the Raptors, all 3 of them. That's very interesting. So they gave Bam 43 free throw attempts. That's insane, man. All right, who was that? Sarr was back, guys. Actually, Sarr, it wasn't Julian. Julian wasn't starting. Julian didn't even play. So we can't hang this on Angel's brother, Julian Reese. The names of the Wizards in shame are Alex Sarr, Bub Carrington, Bilal Coulibaly, Canadian Will Riley, Trey Johnson, Anthony Gill. He deserves some of this, I'm sure, because he's a backup center. Tristan Vucevic, also another big guy. Justin Champagny, Sharif Cooper, and Jaden Hardy are the names. Not even our Canadian Keyshawn George, our Maple Scotty. He's not on the list for causing this, or Julian Reese. So yeah, Sarr. I guess Sarr just came back recently. Man, who got the worst plus minus? They're saying Bub Carrington minus 20 and Bilal minus 19. That is crazy. How did you let him do that? And of course, hardly anybody else scored for the Heat. They didn't have Tyler Hero and they didn't have Norman Powell. So they really leaned into Bam Adebayo, 83 points in 42 minutes. That's crazy in itself. Outscoring your minutes by almost double. Yeah, this was a big time event, what Bam did last night. And honestly, it just came out of the blue and is just so like unexpected. So like, wow, this is the kind of stuff Adam Silver smiles. It's like, now they'll pay attention. Oh man, it's crazy, man. It's so crazy. Nako's here. Good morning, Nako. He's saying last night was worrying. Not really. Once again, the Raptors, at the beginning of the season, they were hitting notes on the piano really nice, and they get a 9-game winning streak. Really nice. Things working in their favor. We're having a little bit of a bad luck stretch. Partly with the schedule that was made for this stretch is a gauntlet. It's very difficult. And also the fact that our bigs, once again, are not healthy. This is an issue that has plagued us at different times this year and years before, where we don't have enough size to compete on the boards. And it's absolutely a huge determining factor on winning or losing. We have Jakob last night. We probably are even more with the rebound totals, and we have a much better showing, and it's closer. That game was actually very close. It's just in the fourth quarter, we put the ball in the hands of a couple guys, and one that in particular that I did not agree with putting the ball in his hands. And he fumbles, and he makes us go back in energy instead of forward in energy. And all momentum and all kind of good energy that's going towards the Raptors getting the victory just gets crushed because this man has a careless turnover, or he does something stupid, or he doesn't make a very good shot. He just misses. Those things are deflating. Those things don't keep up. And meanwhile, you got a Hall of Famer named Kevin Durant on the other side who knows how to score in his sleep, and he's on. And honestly, we saw Kevin Durant yesterday that reminded me of Kevin Durant on the Oklahoma City Thunder from years ago, and the way he used to pick apart the Raptors gleefully. Because we know Kevin Durant's favorite team when he was a kid was the Raptors. We know this. He's made it very clear. He loved Vince Carter, and he was a big Raptors fan around the turn of the century. So in some ways, this is love, what Kevin Durant does to the Raptors, because he loves our team. And he wants to kick our ass when he plays us. And well, Kevin, when we play him the last few years, he's been a different level of health, whether he's very healthy or not healthy. And sometimes when he's not very healthy, he's not as effective, and we don't see the true Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant's out there kind of playing on one leg, and he's playing with Kyrie Irving and James Harden in a Nets jersey. No, Kevin is healthy right now. Kevin had an attitude to come and destroy us last night, to be the number one guy. Often Kevin Durant will sit back and let young guns around him in his later career do the work, and he'll just add in to fill in to help get over the top. But he's not the primary driver. Last night, he was the primary driver again. He was the number one dude scoring for them, and he did it in the way that he used to do it when he was in a Thunder jersey. I had not seen that level of kind of stuff by Kevin Durant in probably about 5 years, Naco the Nacho. I had not seen Kevin Durant pick apart the Raptors like he did last night in about 5 years at least. Probably not since that he was on Golden State. So this is different. This isn't just the young Rockets team that I advertised. This is Kevin Durant motivated, healthy, and doing old vintage Kevin Durant shit. And listen, man, we got a good matchup for him. His name's Brandon Ingram. And there should have been a duel between Ingram and Durant last night. But Brandon Ingram he was a glass Joe to that man's Lil Mac. And he just knocked him out in the first round. Because, man, Brandon was ineffective. Brandon disappointed the hell out of me. I know Brandon wants to play because he's healthy. And even if he's a little sick and he's not 100%, he wants to be out on the floor. But that doesn't mean we need to give him the ball so much and try and run the offense through him so much, Raptors, because he's ineffective right now. He's obviously not hitting his shot. In some ways, he's in a little bit of a scoring slump. You know, if Ingram could match Durant at his full powers himself, we would have had a game last night. But that's probably the most upsetting thing. And we can't get mad at Brandon Ingram for this totally, because the season has ups and downs. You're going to have dud games and good games. And he's in a dud slump period right now, partly because of his thumb injury, partly because he's been under weather. So he's got to snap out of it. He's going to play his former team today, and he gets another chance to maybe look better. If he hits all of his shots tonight, like Kevin Durant hit all his shots last night, I'll be happy. But, man, it would have been nice to see Durant versus Ingram last night if one of them had showed up and actually met with his side of things to make it competitive and exciting and fun to watch the dueling Slim Reaper and Slim Sleeper versus each other. But, man, it's Durant, bro. It's Durant. And we can overanalyze it. You can look at it and you say, oh, the Raptors suck, this and that. No, that's Kevin Durant, bro. He's a Hall of Famer. He is one of the greatest offensive players to ever play in the NBA. And he showed us and reminded us just how powerful and how good he can be. Because like Scotty said after the game in the post-game interview, Durant was hitting really tough shots with hands in his face, stuff that in some ways in the last couple of years he would miss. But he was on last night, and he was ready to be vintage KD, taking his KD to the Raptors, the Canadian team, a team that he loves on the down low. And that's how he shows love, is to come and do something like what he did. Yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks. You can say it was worrying, but, you know, there's a Hall of Famer that's got a lot of USA Olympic golds that took us apart last night. You can say it's worrying. Yeah, shout out the Bam. Yeah, this is so I honestly have been thinking for a couple of years Bam Adebayo is washed. So this is a very interesting game last night for him. In some ways, like I said, I don't totally trust that it's an authentically organic game. You know, in some ways, something was happening there. I don't know. The refs were really helping him, putting him on the line 43 times. That's crazy. That's really crazy. G saying this, I think it's not the game that's missing that makes a key difference. I think it's not the player that's missing that makes a key difference. It's the position and matchup. I think fully healthy, we can beat the Rockets or at least come close. No, we should have beat them last night. Like I said, we had 2 guys show up and check in to play last night, and the rest of them did not play well at all. They really were ineffective, and they looked like, you know, closer to G League guys than NBA guys playing against the Rockets last night. You know, the Rockets don't have good ball handling. The Rockets are getting away with some crazy shit playing Tari Eason and Amen Thompson in the backcourt. They had weaknesses we should have exploited, and guys like Shed and Walter should have been having field day, like stealing the ball like candy from them. But that didn't happen. And you know, there was a lot of guys that couldn't contribute in more levels. I mean, Emmanuel's going to get a honorable mention from me, because he did get double digits and he did do a little bit of stuff, but he didn't do it on the level he could do more to step up and do more for the team. And nobody on the bench, I do give a star to one of the guys on the bench, and it's for a very specific reason. But pretty much everybody on the bench was a wash once again. So it's just a tough, it's stupid. It's a Kevin Durant, I'm going to take this game and win it for us kind of game, is what that was last night. And, he has that power, I guess, still to be on that kind of level and win games almost single handedly. He didn't do it single handedly, though. He had good support around him, but he was definitely the main driver and the main person that won the game for the Rockets yesterday. He was the best superstar on the court. He was the most dominant player on the court in that game. That's the truth right there. Bryce is here. Good morning to Bryce. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. It's always nice to see our boys compete. We definitely could have won. I agree with this. Yeah. It's okay we didn't. No Yak, no CMB, no TJD. No need to worry. We will be okay. Let's go, Raptors. Get a win tonight, boys. Yeah, we could really worry tonight if we don't beat the Pelicans. Yeah. Yeah. Tomorrow's stream will not be fun if we lose. I don't see it. I really don't see it. We've been doing such a good job beating the losing teams. We should keep that going. Now, tomorrow, there's a Raptors 905 game at 11 a.m. So tomorrow's going to be a members only stream again, just to shorten it so we can get it done in time to watch the 905 game. So tomorrow, yeah, it'll be members only to comment. That's worked well for me to have a quick stream. And I'll probably start early. I'll probably start at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Just a heads up, programming note. So I can get almost a full 2 hours in before the Raptors 905 tip off in Westchester against the Knicks at 11 a.m. in a school days game in New York. So, yeah, just a programming note for tomorrow. Yeah, let's see. Reggie's here. Good morning to Reggie, our current Raptor Freak Tuesday trivia champion. The fourth quarter was a mess. Just can't beat good teams. That's what it is. Just take off tonight. I don't think that's true. Let's not make self-defeating self-talk. We just can't beat good teams. That's not the right statement. That's not true. We can beat them. We just haven't. We will beat them. We will in the future. And honestly, the Rockets aren't all that. They're not on the same tier as the other teams we played recently. They're not a top-tier team in this league. They're closer to us. Honestly, we're in the same tier as the Rockets. It's just they had size to beat us last night. If we had Jakob, I bet you we win that game last night. Seriously. Because everything starts to get more in line and in the right direction with Jakob being out there, holding his weight, holding Capella off the boards, giving us screens and getting better shots. We beat the Rockets, we might even just beat them with Colin being back. It's just, we are in a really bad, Trace hurting his middle finger in the warm-up practice. That's so stupid, Trace. Whatever goofy dunk you were trying to do, man, it wasn't worth it, was it? Because now you're missing the time when you would have got called up and you would have gotten all kinds of time on the court. No, this is a perfect storm of C absence on our team. A problem we've had for a long time, and a problem that we've been shouting out to Bobby Webster for years. We need depth at center. And this is why not one center, not two centers, not even three guys who can fill centers is sometimes enough. Because you could have all three of the guys that are supposed to play center for you out, and you should have had the fourth center. That's kind of what this is right now. Yeah, I can't get behind we just can't beat good teams. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. There's certain level teams, yeah, we can't beat this year, but we could have beat the Rockets last night. And I know you're a big fan of them. And I know, you can cheer for either team in the game last night, but we could have beat the Rockets last night. We absolutely could have. If Brandon Ingram was normal, that could have been a big factor in helping that too. Yeah, let's see. Fiercey's here. Good morning to MJ. Good morning, fam, and happy back-to-back game day. Hang on, it jumped ahead. Let me make sure I don't miss a fourth quarter woes yesterday. We need to maintain momentum and focus till the end. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. All teams are ramping up their defense in the fourth quarter, and there's a little bit more pressure. If our offense is kind of shaky and ginger already and kind of like not healthy and stout, it can kind of go away in the fourth quarter. And what we're seeing is lower point production by the Raptors in the fourth quarter. Like we got 16 points in the fourth quarter last night. As Darko said in the post-game interview, we only scored like 10 points in the last like 5-6 minutes of the game. That's no good. That is no good. That's not keeping up with the other team and what they're going to be putting up, especially if they have Durant who's trying to close it out for them and help them. No, that's no good. In some ways, we've got to figure out the way to make our offense stout and very reliable and healthy in the fourth quarter, that it continues to happen. Because other teams ratchet up their defense, they key on something all of a sudden, and it just throws our entire offense out the window, and we can't score worth of crap. That's something we need to solve for sure. And well, that was part of the reason what Brandon's role is, that he's that overpowering scorer that can score in any situation, no matter how pressurized or how up close they're guarding him. But that's not true right now. For the current time right now, Brandon's ineffective. He cannot do his closeout job that he does for the Raptors by making big shots to close out the game. You know, I saw signs of Scotty doing it a bit more in the fourth quarter last night, and he was doing an okay job. We could have got more RJ at that point, but that's the balance I think the Raptors need to strike, is recognize when Brandon is not totally his full self. Instead, pivot and lean into Barrett and Barnes more, and stop giving possessions to Brandon in the fourth quarter so often when he is ineffective like this. We're wasting possessions in the fourth, and they're not only just like wasted possessions, they stagnate us and they hurt momentum and they hurt chemistry and they hurt psychology of trying to win the game. And plus, it doesn't help Brandon Ingram. You're missing technicals and free throws at key times. Those are absolutely letting the air out of our balloon with us trying to float up in the last part of the game. So that's part of it, is execution. Sure, you're the guy who's the best offensive player on our team. You should be executing when we need you the most. This is part of why we brought you to Toronto. This is part of the reason why you're the dude on our team in this way that Scotty says you're the primary scorer, is because we need to dote on you for this kind of stuff in the late game. This is something we decided we needed, a player like this, and you're supposed to be that, Brandon. But if you're absolutely ineffective because you're sick, because your shot's off, because your thumb is nagging you, then we shouldn't be giving you the ball. We have other guys that can try and be the hero at the end of the game. And Rowan Barrett Jr. is number one, next one in line. And so is Scotty Barnes. He's in line too. And both those guys are very effective scorers when they get their number called and they get possessions for themselves. But if we're going to give you a bunch of possessions at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and you're going to run our momentum in the ground, and then RJ has to bully ball his way into the lane to make a few baskets just to get the Raptors offense kick-started again. This is not the right situation of things. In some ways, either you come advertised as that executor in the fourth quarter, Brandon Ingram, and you do it, or we go away from you. We start spreading that water down the river in another stream, because we can't be wasting our time giving you the chances when you're a 10-year professional and this is what you're supposed to do, and you're absolutely so ineffective like you have been in the last couple games for the Raptors. Darko, in some ways, it's his fault. He needs to call the Clay and say, Brandon, I'm sorry. Today, you just don't have it. We're going to go more with RJ in the fourth today. You need to do that too, Coach Rajakovic, is basically recognize the trends of the game and see, well, Brandon just doesn't have it tonight, because it's obvious, because the man's taking 10-foot mid-range shots and they're not on target. They're not going down. And in some ways, they are shots that should be like money, easy printed like that. As far as Brandon Ingram's skill set, his ability to make these shots all year, we've seen how he does it, but all of a sudden it's cold and the shot is rimming out and hitting, clanking. Yeah, recognize this, Raptors coaching staff, and say, yeah, we've got to pivot away from Notorious BI3, and we need to go see RJ9 maybe. That's what I would do. I mean, that's what I want to see right there. That's what I want to see right there, is just a intelligent, like, analyzing of the game as it goes and the flow of the game. You ride the hot hand. You can't ride the cold hand. Why would you ride the cold hand? That don't make no sense to me. Let's ride the cold hand. No, ride the hot hand. And there were two guys out there that actually played in the game last night in the Raptors jersey, and their names were Barrett and Barnes. I'm just saying, that's the way I look at it there. Shaq Lindsay, you are in the channel, right? You have messages. Okay, good. Good. This is good. I like this. I like this because I was worried that you got kicked out of the channel yesterday. Let's see. And I couldn't go check for some reason. YouTube had its thing up where I couldn't go to my community page and look at the list of people that were blocked from the channel. So you've gotten messages through, right? Your message is retracted by yourself. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. And everybody who's got the support channel symbol should be able to talk tomorrow when I do a members only channel stream. Let's see. Reggie's saying, I just want them to get to 45 wins. That's all I care about. Yeah. I mean, 10 more wins in the last 20 games. That'll be good. I'm with you on this. I thought 50 was unrealistic. And breaking down all the games that are left, there's a good percentage of games that are bad teams that we're playing still. So we need to execute those ones for sure. And maybe try and steal some of the really good games still also. Teams like Denver, Detroit a few more times coming up this month. Orlando and Miami, extremely crucial games that we need to be at our top selves for sure. Yeah. Nako saying, I live for 10 p.m. games because work will let me pay full attention for games. Well, that's good for you, man. You get older, Gerald. The older you get, in some ways, those West Coast trips are not fun for us. I know Monique and I were talking about it the other day, saying she was saying that the late nights are just not easy for her. Staying up till 1 a.m. because of a Raptors game on the West Coast in Portland or something. It's not the best. But hey, for you on your schedule and your work, that's great. That's great. Yeah, for me, it's tough because, I'm not changing my morning time for the stream and, working later in the night and getting less sleep to get up in the morning to do the reaction stream. It can be a grind. The West Coast trips can be difficult. Kind of like this morning feels difficult. It's not even like this game was that late. It was 8 p.m. yesterday, but it felt the West Coast a little bit extra time later. It was felt in this one, even though it was just in Houston and just one time zone over, let's see. Reggie's saying, if you want Lex, why don't you try doing the stream later in the afternoon? I actually will do that. I have the right to do that if I want to. But you know what it is, Reggie? You guys are so used to me at this time. And part of the following for this channel is at this time. And I realized that early on. It's like I could switch my time to all kinds of different times of the day and be experimental, but you guys wouldn't know when to be here. And you guys have your own lives. And if you guys have the dependable time to know that this is when I'm here, then you guys will know that I'm here at this time. If I switched it up all the time, and I did in the beginning, I had weird times, all different times. I would go whenever I wanted to, and I'd be going on at 1 p.m., noon, 11, but it was erratic, and I wasn't getting the foothold of consistency that you guys could depend on. So I made the judgment, and I also thought about it very heavily. It was like, what's a good time? I don't want it to be too early, but I don't want it to be too late. Most of the channels are doing their reactions after the game. I don't want to be like way late, like where it's in the afternoon. I would like to sleep on it and do it first thing in the morning. And also, I feel like the 9:30 time for me, it kind of has a signature time for me away from any other Raptors kind of stuff. Sure, maybe Raptors show might butt into my time sometimes, or other stuff may sometimes try and do what my time is. But having my time right now, in some ways, it's a signature, is dependable. But I also, at the same token, reserve the right to switch it if I want to. Like there may be a day where I have a doctor's appointment or something, or I have a thing I have to do in the morning and I can't do it right at 9. And I say a special stream time will be at like 3 in the afternoon today, guys, because I have morning errands I have to do. But obviously I don't schedule a lot of errands in the morning because you don't see me do that a lot. But I do reserve that right to change my stream time depending on what's going on in my life. Like Adriana's told me, you can't do that with me because you have to do your stream. And I'm like, I will switch my stream if I have to go help you to do something. If you need me to, I will. It's not like I want to be tethered to this and say, you just have to be here every morning at 9:30. If I have to do something at this time for whatever reason, I will reschedule. But I try not to do it if I don't have to. but I appreciate the suggestion. Maybe I should do 10:30? I don't know. In some ways, I'd like to do 2 hours, and I'd like to be done by noon, so 9:30 to 11:30 seems like the right 2 hours, and it has been for the most part. I'm whining and complaining about getting up, and you're talking to a guy who pretty much for his whole 20s and 30s, he didn't get up till after 2 p.m. in the afternoon because he worked in bars and restaurants and lived that vampire lifestyle where he was out all night after work, uh, you know, having fun, and then getting up like when the sun started to go down in the winter days because it's, yeah, I barely saw the light for a few years in my 20s because I really did have that vampire lifestyle and I slept in so much. When you work at night in the bars, you don't have to work during the day, you can sleep all day and because you're just a night person. So I've actually been really happy because I'm a chronic sleep in guy that would sleep in till past noon, like from a lot of my life, that I get up so consistently for this time. I'm really proud of it in some ways because the old me was not like this. I was a night person and not a morning person in any kind of way. So that's kind of part of the work. All right. I appreciate that though, Reggie. And I appreciate you looking out for me, man. Yeah, I think there's just some mornings are just tougher, and today is a little bit tough. But like I said, there's a physical thing I'm dealing with right now that's painful, and that's making it a little bit more tougher for me right now. But I'm gonna give Smooth a dunk for just consideration, man. There you go. You got your first one of the year. You got that BI3, man. Yeah, just for consideration and kindness. Let's see. Race mode's here. Good morning to Edmund, another member of the channel. What's up, Lex and crew? Just wanted to say good morning, you guys. Have a fantastic day. Man, I hope your just life is just full of blessings, Edmund. You and your family and your work crew and all the projects that you're doing. Let's make 2026 a fantastic year for you, man. Professionally and with your personal life and your family too. So yeah, salute to original Raptor Freak, Race Mode Daily, who's here right now. I love to see you, man. Fiercely saying, Bi was asked about the issues beating top teams. He did mention they're still learning to play together. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, there's different factors. There's veteran factor. There's just better experience on a lot of these teams with the NBA, like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, it was the most experienced, powerful player on the court yesterday. He knew more about how to win in the NBA than anybody else on the court, anybody on the Raptors, anybody else on the Rockets. And in some ways, he leads the game with his standard and what he does on the court. And we need to give more credit to the Hall of Famer, Kevin Durant. And there's nothing wrong with that. You got beat by one of the best. You got beat by one of the top 75 players in the history of the NBA. He may be older. He may be washed at times, looking washed, but not in the game last night. He looked at top health and at top level, and he was executing like to the millimeter to get the ball placed through the hoop in the right ways. I mean, we've seen Kevin Durant in recent years brick a lot, miss a lot, but he was not last night. He was zeroed in and he was making his shots. You got to give some credit. In some ways, you got to look at that in awe because that dude is good. He's very, very good. I wish Brandon was shooting the way he was shooting last night. That would have been such a fun game. That's what I was hoping for. I started watching the game. Kevin Durant's locked in. I'm like, oh, crap. Kevin's in tonight. He's going to be a factor tonight. I don't know if he's going to be a factor or not. He could just go on cruise control and let the youngsters try and win the game, or he could directly lead him and do what he did last night, like he did. Once like, all right, well, Kevin's going to do that. Brandon, it's your reply. Where's your reply, Brandon? Where's your reply? That's it. You're going to clank one off that way. You're going to do this way. You're going to go 3 for 15, something like that. Nah, I wanted to see an epic duel of two of the highest level offensive players in the NBA currently today going at each other, making high level shots over defenses that are right there. But we didn't get that factor from our side on our guy, Brandon Ingram. Yeah. Oh, man. It's tough. It's tough, man. Fiercely saying BI should have rested yesterday and played tonight. He's clearly still not well. Yeah, I don't think he's 100%. I think that this is definitely part of what's going on with him in the last couple games just being so bad. Like, that's the thing. And once again, I'll say coaching staff, recognize this and don't ride the cold hand, ride the hot hand. Stop riding the cold hand. It doesn't even make sense when I say it, right? Shaq Lindsay saying, I'm starting to think maybe we need to change our approach. Making BI our number one and prioritizing the offense around him might not be the best thing. BI is a great scorer in the paint, but his ability, let me see, to read double teams is lacking. His shooting from three is lacking too. Since getting BI, we have forgotten our principles in ball movement and having a ball in Scotty's hands. It's not that we've forgotten our principles or we stopped doing them. It's more that I think that the beginning of your comment is right. I think that we need to change our approach as far as how much we dote on him. And the way you do it is you start early like we did last night, and you give him offensive chances to get into a rhythm and to get his shots to drop. Now, maybe you give it to him for the first half of the game and you really get a good sample size of, well, is Brandon hitting or not? You don't just keep beating your head into the wall if you're not getting anywhere and you're just busting up your face. And in some ways, that's what it felt like with the offense with Brandon Ingram last night, is you're basically just pounding your face in the wall and you're bruising your face up, but you're not making any points. That's what I want. In some ways, I want the call in the middle of the game, the audible, to say, yeah, I'm sorry, you just don't have it right now. We're gonna go way heavy more into the other guys. Barbecue. We're gonna give the ball to the barbecue guys, all three of them. And Brandon, you can be a decoy. You can try and help and contribute by rebounds and doing other things. Play really good defense. And sorry, it's just that night. You're going to be a more complete player. We can't rely on you to be the priority top level weapon of beating the other team. Then we got to pivot. We got to pivot to the other guys. That is the approach change, I would say. That's what needs to change. I think RJ even alluded to this in some ways in his press conference a couple of games ago when we lost to, I think, Minnesota. He said in the fourth quarter, something needs to change. And, is he talking about personnel? Is he talking about schemes? Maybe he's talking about who gets the ball needs to change a little bit more. And it's not that he's against Brandon. I mean, I'm sure he loves seeing Brandon take over and just win the games for us. Makes his life easier in some ways. But maybe RJ is intimating that maybe if Brandon ain't got it, he should be called number 9. And he should be trying to take over the game at the end of the game because he does have experience trying to do that. And he has been somewhat effective at bully balling his way to getting points for the Raptors in late game situations where everything's ratcheted up. I don't know. I think that's the message that Shaq Lindsay's saying here, and I think he's right. That, why beat your head in the wall if your guy's just not having it that night? Why keep doing that? The sign that he doesn't have it is he's missing free throws. It's like, bro, you must be really off. If you're such a great shooter and you can't shoot a free throw, nobody's on the lines because you're shooting a technical and you just shoot it and you're off and it goes out. Like, that's off, Brandon. You are off right now. You got to get 0 back in and find your bullseye once again. Yeah, Randolph's here. Good morning to Randolph. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. Match all of today's adversities with the power, strength, resources, faith, and love you have been given and live with the results. We come designed by God to handle things in life. Now, man-made stuff that we make in some ways is a whole other mark of the beast. And some of it is that number 666, AI, a lot of the technology that we've used. You could say the internet in itself from the start in some ways has been not totally natural, or something that humankind and organic species, how we interact with the man-made world and the crazy things and distractions that we create in some ways could destroy us because it's not of God. It's not natural. We have to understand there's a lot of movements and motions at the top with the billionaire class that is ungodly, antichrist, and it's very, very much anti-human. And this is the crazy thing. We got the strength and the power, like Randolph's saying, to face natural things that we have to deal with. Natural disasters. Our bodies are built with antibodies and things to fight off sickness. There's a lot of natural things inside of us to fight natural world stuff. But our artificial world stuff we don't have. to fight that necessarily. And that's the scary thing about the age we're going into. In some ways, that's why we shouldn't rush into a technological AI age, because we don't know all the ramifications. Just like Albert Einstein, when he did his theory of relativity, did not understand the implication of the atomic bomb. So this is a very scary, weird fucking time. And yeah, the creator built us with everything inherently in us, the powers to deal with anything. But this is going to be a whole different thing that's coming. And in some ways, we won't just need the strength of the individual by himself. We're going to need the strength of the group and the totality of the human race to figure this one out. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. Yeah, it's in us. But in some ways, this world we're creating isn't the real world anymore. And I don't know if human beings have what it takes to survive that world. That's scary shit. And you think I'm crazy and saying this kind of stuff? No, this stuff is very serious, what I'm saying. Very, very serious. Bryce is saying, what happened to our fastball 0.5 offense? We still do it to an extent. It's just that, that was an introductory kind of like philosophy that Darko used when he first showed up, because he wanted to set a culture of a fast-paced offense. So in some ways, when you're first teaching a team that's green and has not done that, you have to make a really hard rule at the beginning. You can only touch the ball for half a second, and then you got to pass to the next person. When you rev up the team to do it after a while and they're used to it, they understand that that's the kind of offense that Darko wants to run. You don't have to hold them to that rule so hard and true to it. I think part of it is that rules relax because of Brandon, because he works very powerfully in isolation, one-on-one, and he can't just hold the ball for a half second to do that. I found that Brandon's really effective when he doesn't collect himself. Often sometimes when they feed him the ball, he takes a second to just kind of chill and then put the ball on the floor and kind of move and do his long, lanky kind of spins, like whatever. The most effective Brandon has been taking it and running it immediately. Like if he gets the ball, instead of like doing a spin or gauging or moving with the guy on his back in the post, whenever he gets the ball and he spins immediately and he drives, that is when he's the best right now. I think that in some ways, if Darko and the coaches could light a fire under his ass to say, you need to be in motion all times, do not collect yourself, even though you naturally have done that. And in some ways, you get the rhythm for what your offensive move will be from collecting yourself and doing your little like this with the ball when you first get it. Stop doing that. No, because you're a high level player and you have shown the proclivity to be able to go right into motion, to go right into your move right away and catch them right away. As soon as you catch it, make sure you got the ball clean and you got it locked down and secure. But go right into your motion. Don't wait and like, all right, I'm feeling the guy on my back, and then I'll go in my rhythm and go there. No, go right in your motion, catch it and go. Some of the things he's done that way have been more effective, whether he's getting a more open shot because the double's not coming fast enough, or he's spinning and he's going right into a lane to the basket and he's getting a dunk on their heads. So maybe that's an area right there where we could speed it up again, not 0.5 seconds fast, but maybe he does need to speed up his gather and his collect so that it's not such a reset. When we had Fred and Pascal, they had a similar thing, like where, the offense would get slowed down because Fred's waiting on the outside, kind of dribbling and observing. And I know part of that was just him reading and controlling the tempo of the game. But at times that would stagnate the game because it's too long and you're eating up time on the shot clock. And in some ways, the defense is getting more set and comfortable because you're just kind of standing there with the ball at the top of the key. That was something we went on about with Fred at times when he was a Raptor. And Pascal, similar kind of thing to Brandon, where he'll do a collect, he'll wait, and then he'll do his move when he wants to. This stuff could all kind of happen faster. And in some ways, that may be better. I'm also a big proponent of using Brandon off ball and not even giving him the ball and just letting him be a floater out there. You might as well be like Grady in Battle out there. All right, Brandon? You're just going to be a guy on the end, on the side, who you may kick it out to you and you're going to shoot an open three because, Emmanuel drove into the lane and drew the attention and he's throwing the ball to you in the corner. That's another effective way to use them. Use them off ball and stop using them on ball so much. For sure. For sure. UC's here. Good morning to UC. Wilt Bam Kobe from Norman was so iconic, not gonna lie. It's cool that he gets to say it. It's cool that he was the one, and it's very cool that it is a kind of a cool thing that happened. I'm sure Heat Nation is enjoying this one. They haven't had a whole lot to be celebrating too much this year. I mean, they're in okay position now, but this is a really huge accomplishment and something that looks really cool. And yeah, they got something fun that happened there. Yeah. Yeah, good to see you, UC. I hope you're doing very well, and your traveling has been good coming to Toronto, and obviously going home too. Smooth saying Lakers fans are ripping Bam. Wow, they're ripping him. They're mad because he's overshadowing Kobe. That's what it is, man. Whatever, man. Get over yourselves, Laker fans. You're not the center of the universe in some ways. Get over yourselves. Smooth saying 36 of Bam's 83 came off of free throws. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, they may have a gripe there. I mean, you know how Laker fans are. If it's not in their favor, it goes against something that they accomplished, they're going to rip it down. It's just like they won't listen to us when we call their championship in 2020 a Mickey Mouse championship that should have an asterisk. They're like, no, no, no. But, something like this, they're going to make all the slander and excuses for why Bam got that number and he shouldn't have. They're going to make up every single way to denigrate it and not make it look better than Kobe's 81. Yeah, they got a statue out there. Does this mean Bam's going to get an ugly ass statue like Dwayne Wade outside the Kaseya Center, where there's going to be Bam Adebayo looking all goofy like he's a weird demon or something, just like the Dwayne Wade statue they put out there? They'll be matching, and this will be an 83 statue for Bam Adebayo. Probably. He probably will get a statue like that for the game he had yesterday. He probably will. He should. If Kobe's got one for 81, right? He should. Let's see. Shaq Lindsay saying to read double teams. Oh, yeah, I reread that. That was the piggyback for the rest of what he's saying. Trevor J saying Sam Mitchell was very happy that someone else took over the record. Yeah, that's good. He was the coach of the Raptors when Kobe got 81 on us. So, yeah, he's happy about that. Now that's on Brian Keith and the Washington Wizards and them now. Yeah, they can deal with that. No, I'm happy about this. This is a victory for Raptors Nation. As much as the Reddit shitpost is funny, it's true to an extent. Although people aren't going to forget about what happened with Kobe and us. They're not going to ever forget that because it's just one of those kind of things. But this Bam thing does get it for a little bit. But over time, do you think people are going to remember the Bam game more than the Kobe game? I don't know. Even if he's just 2 points over and he technically outscored and he has the second highest total in NBA history, that doesn't mean that they're going to remember this Bam game last night more than the Kobe game. Because like I said, in some ways, Kobe's just a legend and a higher, like kind of really weird level. And partially it is because of his premature death. Yeah, partially. Yeah. UC saying apparently the Wizards were fouling Bam legitimately. Well, Sarr hasn't played in a while. He may be still getting up to speed, him and Gill. And yeah, maybe they did. And young Vucevic, those three guys they're younger and they could be fouling him like crazy. I mean, Bam is the veteran. He's been playing in the league a long, long time. He knows how to do this. It's like the USA team rose up, the old guys last night. And there's like, hey, listen, they forgot about us. We're going to show them we still got some gas in the tank. Bam Adebayo, 83 points. Kevin Durant looking vintage. It's like these guys decided to be like, we're going to get in the time machine. We're going to be in the fountain of youth. And we're going to show y'all what we were like before more consistently, but just for one night, y'all. Yeah. I feel like that's what happened there, man. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's what happened. Yeah, Randolph saying, Lex, Sam Mitchell got the weight lifted off his shoulders from Kobe's 81 as a coach by Bam's 83. That's now on another coach for life. Sam celebrated and was relieved. Yeah, but they're not going to forget what that happened to you, too. Either way, it's funny. It's entertaining, Sam being like that and acting like that. It's entertaining. Sam Mitchell's hilarious. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad Coach is happy. It's a good thing for Raptors Nation. I'm not going to lie. It is. Shaq Lindsay saying, I think since getting BI, this has had a direct effect on some of our players like Grady Dick. I remember back in the days, Scotty used to start the fast breaks with a rebound and then a dish out. Now we just sit back and watch BI. I thought getting BI, we would see him more off the ball, but I see is him on it. Yeah, I mean, this is all pretty valid right here. It is different how we engage in our offense and start it with Brandon around. There is a lot more isolation post up that we were really not going in that direction with Darko. That's part of the reason why Siakam wasn't long for us, because that's Siakam's game. And in some ways, Darko didn't want to play that when we had Siakam. And they asked Siakam in the last half season that he played for us with Darko as his coach, you're going to have to conform to playing a more team game and not getting the ball in your hands as much and just find things on your own in that way. We may use you as a bailout. We may use you in the old classic way from time to time, but for the most part, we want you to learn new style. They asked Siakam this the first year of Darko, and he said, "Yeah, I'll take the assignment. I'll try and do this." And to his credit, he did a pretty good job adjusting from his old mentality on offense to be more a team-oriented offense. Siakam is a good player. He's a good teammate. He's a good for his coaches. He listens to them and he tries to do what they want. So he did that. He did do that in that half season that he played on the Raptors with RJ Barrett and Manuel Quickly and them. But it's still like his primary weapons and what he's used usually by the Pacers and the Raptors before was not in that style. And Brandon is doing that now. So in some ways, is there a talk to Brandon that you could have like you did with Pascal the year you coached him, Darko Rajakovic? Maybe that may be part of the adjustment. Maybe when Brandon starts to feel healthier and feels better, maybe we can revert back to doing more of the dominant isolation post up stuff. But otherwise, maybe while he's kind of half hurt, half sick, not 100%, maybe you pivot and say, look, we got to have you in more team mode than BI goes off mode, because you're ineffective. You're not making your shots. So we're going to make you more just one of the guys in the rotation of the 0.5 offense. Squirrel, I'm watching you. That's right. You see me? I'm talking to you. Get down. Get down. I see you out there. I'm sorry. ADHD. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's keep going. Fiercely saying Rockets literally handed us the game with their turnovers and technicals, but we did not capitalize. Yeah, they had some dumb stuff. I mean, we had some dumb stuff too. Hey. That's right. You get down. We had some dumb turnovers, technicals too. I mean, Brandon hitting the ball off the stanchion to get a technical, that was dumb. Yeah, you could say that they handed us the game, but they didn't. We both had mistakes in the same kind of veins, and either one, the game could have been won by whoever executed it better, and that was the Rockets. And that's the difference right there. No, we had the opportunities. It's just that at the end of the game, they had people like Jabari Smith hitting shots all consistently all through the game. And we didn't have people like that on our team other than RJ and Scotty. And that's just not enough. That's just not enough. Not enough at all. Let's see. Neil is saying this. Hang on. Oh, I might have jumped a bit ahead. Let me see. That was Fiercey. Shaq saying Raptors need to stop with the ISO with Brandon. Yeah, I can agree with this. You can't win that way. Brandon isn't KD. KD has no limits to his game. Brandon's a great scorer in the paint, but not a good at three. Well, they could learn something about how Kevin's been used the last few years. Kevin is used more in a team way than ever. Last night was an anomaly. Him going off and being that way again, that's an anomaly. It's more like Kevin Durant is going to play within the flow of the game with the team more often and not demand a lot of extra shots or more. They're going to put the ball through him. He's going to get touches, but he's not going to be doted on as so primary like we are doing with Brandon. Maybe there's something to learn from that for the Raptors coaching staff as far as the dialing back of the role of Brandon Ingram. Go look at how Kevin Durant has been playing in his older age and how he fits in. Last night's not a good example, though, because that was, like I said, that's not normal stuff that Kevin's going to do on a night-by-night basis, be the primary guy driving the whole team as number one. It's more likely Sengun or Thompson or somebody else is going to be doing that for them, and he's going to just be a side player that adds to it on the side, right? Let's see. UC saying only two players showing up hurts, but we're a young club, so we definitely going to grow past these bad tendencies by next season. Yeah, it's a work in progress. We're on the escalator up to the Larry O'Brien, and where we are on the escalator is near the upper half, but not in the very upper part of the upper half. We're kind of in the we're above the halfway point, but we're still in line to get towards the Larry O'Brien by better teams. Hey, hey. It's knows I can see it, so it's got to stop. Anyway, I got to stop yelling while I'm on the show. Neil's saying 4 centers, 4 point guards. That's how you build a roster. I agree with this. I'm going to give Neil a dunk because I believe in the depth like that too. I don't know about 4 point guards, though. I don't know if you need 4 point guards, especially on this team. The 4 centers, I'll get behind. But the 4 point guards isn't necessarily necessary when you got guys like Scotty and RJ on the team. So you can have like Shed and IQ, and then your other 2 point guards are actually big guys that can handle the ball and dribble. And the other thing is, like, we actually have like 6 point guards on our team right now. This has never been, this was a problem when we had Malachi, the depth at point guard. But the depth at point guard since Scotty got drafted to our team has not been bad at all because Scotty himself helps with that depth. Yeah. Because you could make an argument Jacoby's another depth point guard on our team, especially with some of the ways he's been running the team in garbage time recently. The Jacoby Walter has point guard training, and he could be on that depth chart too. I mean, as Chucky Hepburn on it, is Elijah Martin possibly? Not really. Elijah's not a point guard. He's more a shooting guard. But yeah, you could look at the point guard depth on the Raptors and say Emmanuel Quickley, Jamal Shedd, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Jacoby Walter, Chucky Hepburn, Garrett Temple. There's point guard depth on this team. Blackhawk, you got another dunk. You're at RJ 9. RJ Barrett 9. Yeah. Raptors champs. Good morning, Raptors freaks and champs. Having no real center made this difficult. Thank you to Mobo for your efforts. Yes. All right. And this is my cue to go in and do the stars of the game. The number 1 star of the game for last night was RJ Barrett. RJ has been the star of the game, the number 1 star of the game, 3 games in a row now, guys. RJ has played the best of all the Raptors the last 3 games. And RJ, 25 points in 32 minutes, 10 of 18 shooting, 2 of 6 from 3, 3 of 4 at the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 block, a -3. See, in the minutes RJ was out there, we only got outscored by a 3-pointer. He was competitive. He was keeping up a compete level while he was out there. Other guys were not keeping a compete level up with the Rockets, but RJ was. In some ways, he's mentally keeping score in his head about what it takes level-wise consistently to bring the effort to keep it matching with them. Him as an individual is bringing that power and that effort, but the rest of the guys weren't last night. So kudos to you, RJ. You're my number 1 star. My second star of the game is Scotty. As I said earlier, Scotty's the other guy who showed up. He had 24 points. I love seeing Scotty get 20 points. I love seeing Scotty really, really take care of the ball and get a lot of points. 36 minutes, 24 points, 8 of 16. So he's 50%. Get down! Get down! 2 of 6 from 3, 6 of 6 at the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, and a steal, a -11. So he, he was all around. He had good defensive stuff. And honestly, I'm seeing a little bit more serious stuff on offense. Like, I really love his mid-range turnarounds right now and just how measured and how swishy his shot is. He hit a couple of threes early, and that was a good sign to show Scotty's going to have a good shooting game when he hits 2 threes because they dared him and left him open. That's all really good signs. Yeah, I like Scotty being more aggressive to score, and I want him to do this more and more. Seriously, man, take that challenge from Durant. If Ingram can't do it, you be the superstar that duels with him, and you go back and forth with him. You guys were all different, you guys guarding him, and that's what I'm going to talk about in a second. We put different looks on Durant, and Scotty got to guard him for a bit of the game, but the one guy who guarded him the best is my 3rd star, and that was Jonathan Mobo. It's interesting. I've been talking about Mobo a lot in the last week or so on this channel, especially with people talking about his 905 experience and who he is and what he does for this team and whether he's worth it on his team or whether he's been a fail on this team and all this other stuff. And well, somebody brought this up yesterday at the end of the stream. Well, is Jonathan going to play since all these guys are hurt? Because we're going to need him as a big against a very big Rockets team. And the answer was yes. And Mobo came out there for 11 minutes. He's my third star. It's RJ, Scotty, and Jonathan. And he got 2 points. He only scored 2 points. He got 1 of 1 for his basket, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 1 steal, a -1. Why would I give him the star? Because to me, he made the next best contribution after RJ and Scotty. He actually slowed down Kevin to an extent. In some ways, he was the one who was getting Kevin to miss when he was guarding him. We saw Jonathan Mobo's skill in the NBA that's very useful is he's a stopper to an extent. He's somebody who can actually keep up with a combination of size with speed to run around and guard somebody like Kevin Durant when he's going off and kind of slow him down and make it harder for him. He seemed like the most effective dude out of everybody trying to guard him. Scotty was pretty good too, but they would put Shed on him or Jacoby at times. Would get switched to him, and it's a big mismatch with height. But Mobo is the right combination of that height with ability to run around and try and keep up with him. He contested a lot of shots by Kevin Durant, and he's, to me, from what I was watching, was guarding him the best out of anybody. It's not like anybody guarded Kevin Wright to the extent that we shut him down, but at least Mobo was showing at least some ability to slow him down and stop him a bit. So yeah, I give this third star to Jonathan. And this answers a lot of things. It's like people say, "Oh, Jonathan's been on 905 all year. He's a failure." No, he's not. He's a project that continues to be developed. Andrew Jones has been very happy with him and his work on the 905 team. And well, you can plug him in and play him in the Raptors level, and he can do useful things for you, like he did trying to guard Kevin Durant last night. So yeah, kudos to Jonathan taking that tough assignment. Man, that's a tough assignment right there. Yeah, I totally agree about Mobo, Raptors champs. Mr. Quasimodo saying the refs helped the Rockets. So many free throws in the first half. There was definitely some ref manipulation. Scott Foster is a master at it. In some ways, he does just enough so that it doesn't seem like he's doing stuff. But he'll tilt the game in favor with energy to the team that he wants to win and give them more of a clear path to win. There were things that kind of held us back. There were weird offensive foul calls at a certain point in the game, which hurt our momentum with our offense. And that's really one of the main ways they can stop the Raptors right now. Our offense is so dangerous to being bad that when we get good things going, the refs can just call a couple offensive fouls on us, which cause turnovers, and we lose all of our energy and our momentum, and we're a dud and we're stagnant in our offense all of a sudden. That's the easiest ref manipulation to hit job us with right now. Offensive foul. Okay, that's a turnover. You're getting a foul, Scott. And you know what? You can't play as tight and physical with your defense because the referee's giving you a box to be in. And that it sucks. It's annoying because there's a whole other level of physicality that refs let people play with sometimes. But the Raptors get put in a box sometimes and said, no, that's too far. You're getting a foul. And, think twice because you're in foul trouble now. And now you can't play as up close and on defense as you would like to because we're governing you. We're governing you and your ability to play offense and defense by giving you an offensive foul and putting you in foul trouble like this. Yeah, that's the main one right there. And that was the one they used last night. Foster was kind of undercover with what he was doing. He wasn't so overtly doing it. And in some ways, it was Baruti and Giamidis that were calling some of the calls that were hurtful to the Raptors. And if Scott Foster was just sitting back and watching it, there was a couple of challenge calls. We had that one challenge and we lost it. The Rockets are an emotional team. They're mercurial. They get a lot of technicals. There was that one point where M.A. and Jabari both got a technical at the same time, and we had 2 free throws. And, well, Brandon missed one of the free throws. It's just annoying, man. It's just annoying that we missed the free throws. But, yeah, the refs were helping the Rockets. I won't disagree with Quasimodo. It was on a very insidious kind of underlying level. If you have a trained eye, you can see it. A lot of people won't even notice what happened. A lot of them won't. When I do the team stats, we'll see how many more free throw attempts they got. Yeah, when I do the team stats. Shaq Lindsay saying KD gets the ball outside the 3-point line, he becomes a threat. Bi has to get position in the paint where he can be a threat. You're making more of a distinguishing about what you said earlier about how Brandon's 3-point shot isn't really a weapon, but KD's is. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. I think that Brandon's 3-point shot isn't the primary weapon that everybody's scared of. It's more of his mid-range work. But yeah, maybe this is an area where Brandon needs to uptick and get better, higher percentage stuff going with his three, and then things will open up more for him. I think that's what happened in a game recently where he got 30. Was they were saying the TV people were saying, yeah, Brandon's game got opened up because he made his first couple threes, and then everything was easier for him. He started going to the basket and dunking and making a lot of mid range. So maybe this is a key that Shaq Lindsay's talking about here is that Ingram's got to rededicate himself to converting his 3-point attempts. And then maybe more of his overall offensive game will open up and be easier because of that. Yeah, that's probably right. That's probably right. Mr. Quasimodo saying their free throws ruined any chances we had before the fourth. Foul trouble, lack of size. If we're trying to play a team that's sizable against us and we don't have all our size, it's obvious. We have Emmanuel running around out there, and the whole entire Rockets team is 6'7" and up. There's going to be a height mismatch in the matchup with the Rockets, just because of their starting lineup's height overall. And we are playing a classic point guard size guy. Yeah, this is a problem with the rebounds. And then you get into this whole thing where we got a gang rebound. In some ways, we got to be scrappier and physical to match rebounding with guys like Clint Capella. And, we're getting fouls that way. And if the refs won't allow us to be more physical as the little guy against the big guy, we're going to lose the rebound battles. That's part of it right there. That's gatekeeping on us. Like if it's the Celtics who classically play an undersized unit against big teams, that they get to play scrappy, and Peyton Pritchard and Jaylen Brown can go in there and get physical and rip things away from people, and they don't get called for fouls in that way. They're just young, scrappy, good winning team characterized that way, and they can do that. They can get away with being undersized and somewhat rebounding well against a bigger team. But if we're undersized and the referees hate us and they want to call us for every physical thing that we do against a team that's bigger than us, we're screwed. In some ways that's a privilege, an underlying privilege in the NBA that's different. The Knicks and the Celtics are smaller teams that are scrappy. So they have a characteristic that's allowed to do that. It's just like Draymond Green has a scrappy reputation, so he's allowed to do more. Those teams are known for this, and in some ways the NBA encourages it, and referees call around it. But a team like us, they don't want us to have that reputation or persona or culture to our team. They'll stop and say, no, Raptors, you're not the Celtics. You don't get to be undersized gang rebounding team that can use all kinds of dirty tricks and stuff like that to get your rebounds against an oversized team against you. No, you're not like that. You're not the Celtics or the Knicks. We favor them. We love them. We give them privilege. We want them to win. We don't want y'all to win. So one of the ways we can chop your nuts off is to call fouls on smaller guys that are trying to fight bigger guys for rebounds. Yeah. Yeah. Fiercely saying this. Team Canada women qualifying game today at 1:30 versus Turkey. Okay, that's cool. No news on WNBA status. I know the deadline passed yesterday, and I didn't hear jack shit about anything with the WNBA. So I'm just going to guess that they're going to a work stoppage, because if they had came to an agreement, they would have announced the hell out of it, right? And well, the date to keep everything on track and on time was yesterday. So I don't know if they're still on time. Can they do it in the day after and they can still squeeze it and make it? Or is this just what's going to happen is the Toronto Tempo are not going to start on time, and we are not going to get to see them play on the schedule that we've been told we will see them. This is really bad because this is a launch. People have calendars circled. There's ticket sales that have been sold to a team that has never even played. And in some ways, it could be a disaster for the launch of the team because of, built up anticipation. And then it doesn't happen because of a work stoppage. I don't know what's happening for you. See, I was looking for this yesterday too. I wanted to find any information I could find out about any agreement for the WNBA. And there's nothing. There's nothing out there right now. Nothing. Trevor's saying the Raptors lead the NBA in fast break points. Well, there's a bright lining, a silver lining to a cloud right there. I like that. I like that. Shaq Lindsay saying stagnation of the offensive end not only hurts the team, but it also hurts other players' performance. Find out that BI is ineffective during the game is not good because the damage is done. Have a good system where you can use BI in mismatches in certain areas, but do not abuse it. Yeah, maybe that is part of the problem is that we've overutilized him and went to the well too often, and there's not enough balance. That could be part of it. I could see that. I could see that. Trevor's saying, I just posted in the Discord, WNBA situation, no agreement yet. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm not watching the Discord while I'm on the air. I don't know why you post in there when I'm on the show. I'm not going to go look at it while I'm on the air right now. If there is breaking news, I'll go look at Blue Skies and I'll see Blake Murphy report it. Because a lot of times, sometimes posts get posted and they're not factual or accurate from the right source. But I believe this is true because I haven't heard anything about WNBA. We would have heard something. We would have heard something. Shaq Lindsay saying Scotty should be our number one because he makes others around him better. BI should not be the go-to, but should be utilized as a scorer or great wing off of Scotty. We are playing the other way around. I mean, in some ways, if this isn't working right, yeah, you make changes. You decide to go in another direction, and this would be one of the options. I don't know if it's the first one they do next, though. I still think Scotty's going to try and be who Scotty is, and it's more likely that they'll pivot to RJ and try and make him the primary guy than move towards Scott. Even though it does make sense in some ways because Scotty has such a great bread and butter kind of moves for offense that's very high level in execution and very dependable. It would make sense to do this with Scott. But in some ways also, like you're saying about Ingram being overused and figured out and burning that out, do we want to do that with Scott? That could possibly happen if we try and overuse Scotty Barnes as the primary offensive player for our team. They could do the same thing with him that's happened with Brandon, right? So in some ways, we want to keep it healthy. I'd say RJ is the next one to try. That's what I would say. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go to the box score now and go and do the rest of the guys. Yeah, I'll give an honorable mention to Manuel quickly because he did get double digits. He was one of the only other Raptors. There were 3 guys that got double digits on the whole entire team. That's pathetic, man. 3 Raptors in double digits. 12 points for Emmanuel in 33 minutes. 3 of 9 from the field. 1 of 6 from 3. A couple more of those threes fall. That'd be nice. 5 of 5 at the free throw line, though. I love that. 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, a minus 16. I feel like it was smart of Darko to wave the white flag and get guys in with like 4 or 5 minutes left because the energy for our team was not comeback energy to beat that team. The rebound deficiency and weakness was just really hard to come back in that situation. And because of the back-to-back today, it's smart of him to get them out there. I think in the past, in these kind of games, if it wasn't a back-to-back, he would go all out and play his best players to try and steal it right up until the end. But I don't disagree with what he did because he felt the energy, and Brandon just don't have it. The Raptors don't seem like they've got the gumption to overcome that lead, and that lead grew a little bit more. And he's like, yeah, pull him. So I agree with that. I agree with that decision by him. Yeah, because rest them for tonight. In some ways, you've already lost this game. Why try and force your starters to still try and steal the game in 4 or 5 minutes when they obviously don't have it to do it? Brandon, we'll go over him right now. 36 minutes, 9 points, man. See, that's bad, man. Well, if he's not getting double digits, something's wrong. I would say if he gets in the teens, that something's wrong. He should be a 20-point a night guy penciled in every single night. And 9 points, well, I mean, how much did we lose by? 14? If he had gotten 25 points, we win, right? Something like that. 3 of 12 from the field. He obviously did not have a shot. 1 of 5 from 3. 2 of 3 at the free throw line. Yeah, I hate seeing him miss a free throw. I hate it because he's just too good. And especially at a moment where we need the points so bad to try and make up a small deficit, him missing a free throw is so deflating. So deflating. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, and a block. A minus 18 for Brandon Ingram, the worst plus minus on our team. Yeah, and you take him, and it's night and day with Durant. And in some ways, those guys should have been battling as almost equals last night. Really, that's what should have happened. Sandro in the starting lineup. This is the thing, man. Sandro, if you're going to be starting, you got to get double digits. That's part of the rules. Yeah, you didn't know that on the down low? Dude, you've been getting double digits off the bench for most of this year. You can get a starting job? You get to start, bro. You better damn for sure get your double digits. Alas, he did not. 30 minutes, 8 points for Sandro. 3 of 6. He missed all 3 of his threes. They look flat. And why are we giving up Scotty primetime paint touches for Sandro to shoot threes? Is he really like that? Is he really like that? He was maybe for parts of the season where he's just reliable, but the man isn't really like that as far as like he's not that 3-point shooter. So it's like, why are we doing this? You're giving up money in the paint that Scotty has. Just shoot the shot when you're there in the paint. You got such good position. You're a big dude. You make these shots. You dunked on their heads in traffic with them grabbing you last night, Scott. Why are you throwing it out to Sandro to take threes when he's 0 for 3 and he's not like that on 3? He may be on some nights. There may be an overdoting of threes, but once again, I'm going to say I do not understand the strategy and this whole idea. This whole NBA is backwards with its fundamentals and strategies. We see Reed Shepherd throwing the ball on his end of the court to save it. That's a big no-no, Reed. And you got burned for it too because the Raptors got the ball from you saving it underneath your basket. There's just cardinal rules that aren't followed anymore in the NBA, like that one. And then the other one is you don't pass up a paint touch for a 3-point shot, but everything's flipped upside down in this crazy ass upside down world we live in right now. So yeah, stop throwing it back out to Sandro. He's 0 for 3 from 3, Scotty. Take the shot when you get it in the paint touch you get. That's what I say right there. Yeah, 2 for 4 at the free throw line. Sandro's having a really bad time at the free throw line too recently. And once again, those are momentum killers because we're behind by 3 or 4 points, 5 points. We need to make up that deficit. You go up the line, you get free throws, and you miss them. That's so deflating. That's momentum killed. A missed free throw is a momentum killed when you're just down by 5 or just barely down. You're trying to make it up. And you're like, oh, you missed it. We could have been down by 1, but he missed that free throw. You know, there's a lot of that energy in this game last night. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 turnover, 2 steals, a minus 16. So very much close to Brandon with the negative effect and winning for Sandro. And in some ways, he wasn't the best player to start, even though he played Sengun pretty well. He really did. Going to the bench, Jonathan Mobo, I said already, he was the 3rd star. Jamison Battle, 9 minutes, 3 points, 1 of 3 shooting. All 3 were 3-point shots. 2 rebounds, 1 steal, +9. Jamison had the best plus minus on the team. And in fact, that little stretch of time in the 3rd quarter where Jamison was out there with barbecue, that was a good lineup. That was a good lineup. There was good synergy, and we we're getting back in the game. In some ways, that's the kind of lineup you need to have. Sure, we saw some Battle Dick late in garbage time, but Battle's minutes in the 3rd when he was running with Emmanuel, Scotty, and RJ, that was way more fruitful. I think maybe one of the things that you may need to discover, Darko, is playing Jamison with the starters, and he's the only bench guy out there, and seeing how much better his shots are from the attention that the other guys get, and all of a sudden he's left out there, and he's going to hit those threes when he has so much wide open space. So that's what I learned from the minutes of Jamison Battle last night is play him. We want some barbecue Battle. Play barbecue with Battle because his shot attempts will be higher quality percentage-wise because he's getting way more wide open shots, and he'll dial them in and he'll make them. So that's something I learned from the game yesterday. Garrett Temple came in for another garbage minutes. Once again, this has happened 2 games in a row. He got in garbage time in a win against Dallas and in a loss against Houston. And it's fun to see Garrett Temple out there at his age, running around with the youngsters in garbage time. He had 3 minutes, didn't get any stats. They did outscore them +4. Shed, I was so wrong yesterday. I was like, man, Shed's been down in the dumps. Shed's been slumping. A game in Houston will wake him up. No, it was more like Jamal Shed has an affinity for Houston. I'm going to be shitty in this game to try and help my hometown team win, the Rockets. That's more what happened. It wasn't the energy of I'm going to go kill Houston in front of my hometown crowd. No, in some ways it's like, am I on the sly helping the other team to win because I'm playing so badly? That's the energy I got from Jamal Shed yesterday. 19 minutes. He played a good chunk. 2 points. 1 of 4, 0 for 1 from 3, 0 for 2 at the free throw line. See, that's another thing. Something's wrong with you, Jamal. It shows when you get up to the line and you clank 2 free throws. That's why I think you're a double agent for the Rockets. That's in some ways. Oh, no, my friends and my family all love the Rockets. I grew up around Houston. I played for University of Houston. Are you going to help the Rockets win, Jamal Shed? Because you're going to miss a couple free throws to kill momentum and just make us look so bad? Missing one free throw, yeah, that's RJ stuff and maybe Jakob. But missing both free throws? That's a sign that something's fucked up with you, bro. Your confidence is shot and you're playing at a very bad level right now. You need to take care of the easy stuff, like making the free throws, and that'll get you the good energy going in the right direction. But yeah, he's slumping, man. And this isn't the right time for Jamal Shed to be slumping. You need to get out of this in the next month and be on point for the playoffs, Jamal. Seriously, man. Seriously. 1 rebound, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, and 2 steals and a block. A -9 for Shed. He's been frustrating the hell out of me. Jacoby Walter, 21 minutes, 6 points, 2 of 5 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals, and a block, up -13. Jacoby wasn't totally horrible, but also at the same time, it's just another one of these guys that didn't play that great, but he didn't play horrible, but he didn't do enough. Let's just put it that way. Elijah Martin, 3 minutes of garbage time. He did get the line, and he made both his free throws, and he got a turnover also. He was a +4. And then Grady. Grady is stacking good play in small doses in the last week or so. And Grady Dick showing some very confident moves and scoring and executing. So 8 minutes for Grady, 6 points, 2 of 4 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. Still not hitting his 3, though. 2 for 2 at the free throw line. He was even. So, yeah, Grady, we're just trying to reclaim you as an NBA player right now. So anything positive in the right direction, I'm not going to get mad at it. So, Grady, good job. And the thing is, Grady also is out there playing in rotation time during the game, not just garbage time. We saw him out there playing when the game was competitive in the middle of it. And actually, he was making good things happen for us and getting some good confidence from having a positive effect in the game, a good effect and not a bad effect. So I like all that right there. All right, team stats. Let's see how much of a free throw discrepancy it was. It actually wasn't there. Quasimodo's wrong. We actually got one more free throw than they did. 28 free throw attempts for the Raptors, 27 for the Rockets. So we actually got more to the line than they did. So that's not exactly right what you said. But the timing of the free throws is part of it. And I stand by that part. It's the offensive fouls on certain times can kill the momentum of the Raptors. I love the defensive energy of Jonathan Mobo coming up on Kevin Durant and making him step into the backcourt and turn the ball over. That's part of the reason why I gave a star to Jonathan. But, also at the same time, the Raptors against a sizable Rockets lineup have a hard time moving the ball around to be able to get good open shots. And we're getting to the end of shot clock and we're taking really bad not high percentage shots at the end of the shot clock because we just can't work against a bigger lineup and we're not getting the right shots. There's a problem with that. They shot better than us, 50%. We shot 44%. That's a big problem. Teams know that we can't shoot that well. So in the scouting report, when they play us, and this is what Udoka said before the game, is we want to allow the Raptors to take shots that we want to give them because we know they're not a good shooting team. And that's part of the strategy the other teams are using against us right now. They only got one more 3 than us. So it's not like they outshot us from 3 too horribly. Although we did take way more 3s than them and only shot 25%, and they shot 42%. Yeah, the free throw line was pretty even. We can't blame that completely. Rebounds, really bad. This is a huge area where we lost, 52-30, plus 22 in the rebounds for the Rockets, including 15 offensive rebounds. And like I said, Clint Capella, a big part of that. A big, big part of that. Assist-to-turnover ratio, not very good for the Raptors. 21-13. We did not get the ball moving around. Only 21 assists. We got 39 assists against the Mavericks, 21 assists against the Rockets. That's a stagnated offense that maybe was doting on the isolation play of Brandon Ingram too much, is what I think. Yeah, and 13 turnovers. They were 21 and 18, so they had a worse turnover percentage than us. But like Fiercey said, we didn't capitalize on their mistakes and their technicals. We did not. Fast break points, even. And points in the paint, they dominated there too, just like the rebounds, 50-36. Really, really bad. Really, really bad. Now, technically, Mr. Quasimodo's right. They did call more fouls on us, 23-19. And some of those fouls were side outs and maybe just adding a couple more fouls on certain people for foul trouble. And that could be part of it. Going to the other side, let's give credit to the Hall of Famer, Kevin Durant, 29 points in 33 minutes on 12 of 16 shooting, 4 of 5 from 3, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Yeah, just fantastic. And then you got Jabari Smith, who shot really well too, 8 of 14 for him, including 3 of 7 from 3. And then Amin Thompson playing an all-round game, 23 points on 6 of 10 shooting, 10 of 14 at the free throw line. He got the line a lot. That was kind of annoying, Thompson. He got 6 assists also. And then, like I said, off the bench, Clint Capella with the rebounding. He had 6 offensive rebounds. And that is the offensive rebounding difference right there. That's the rebounding difference in a lot of ways too. Yeah, Sengun wasn't that good. In fact, we played him pretty good. Sandro played him pretty good, and different people that had to get matched with him. He did get a double-double, 14 and 12, but he shot 6 of 15 from the field, and he had 3 turnovers. So, yeah, that's reacting to the box score for the Rockets game last night. Yeah, we can't beat them with just 2 guys showing up. No, we can't. We can't just beat them with just RJ and Scotty. We can't. We can't do it. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Milbester is the next comment I'm on. Good morning, Lex. How's your day? And how was the Raptors Rockets games? Well, you can listen to my stream. You'll hear it. I saw the big win Canada got on Puerto Rico. It's fantastic. I have no idea. I didn't see it. I'm not watching it or paying attention to it. Yeah, let me keep going. Let's see. Yeah, if it's all baseball, Milbester, I'm just going to skip it. You might as well not even bring it in here. I'm proud of Canada, but I don't know anything about it, so I can't talk about it. I didn't watch it. I don't know who's playing. I couldn't name one player on the Canadian team. So it's like this is like you're talking to the empty woods and nobody's there to hear you because I can't talk on this, man. I have no expertise on World Baseball Classic. No expertise on baseball. Well, I do have expertise on baseball, but I don't have expertise on this. I can't talk about this. So I'm going to skip your comments if they're baseball oriented. I've told you many, many times. I don't give a shit about the MLB, WBC, and, to an extent, I give a shit about the Knicks, but I don't want to talk about the Knicks overly just because you do. So you got to remember, this is a Raptors Freak stream. We talk about Toronto Raptors. We don't talk about World Baseball Classic. Okay? Okay, good luck to you guys today. Yeah, we're playing the Pelicans, and we need to win. We need to win bad right now, yeah. Raptors champ saying, BI also needs to bring out more of his bag or add to the bag. Teams are getting more physical with him, which leads to an easy steal. Last night, Kevin knew exactly what BI was coming with, easy steal. This is definitely true. This is definitely true right here. That he's a little predictable, and the scout on Brandon is knock him a little bit. Just get him off his rhythm. That's what they're doing because the allowable physicality in the NBA now, there's a new level of messing with Brandon that can possibly happen because he's a skinny guy. And if he's so long, you could easily just touch him or push him. And that may be enough to just mess up his shot right there. There's a little bit of more hand checking and a little bit more physicality allowed in the new FIBA style NBA. And that's one of the things they're doing is like every time Brandon gets the ball or catches it, he's getting touched and pushed or a little nudge. And that's just enough to kind of throw him off where his shot's coming rimming out or he's just not dialed in. What Kevin was doing last night in reverse and opposite is he was going to places and getting to places where he wasn't touched or not bothered. And that's the thing. They're bothering Ingram when he gets the ball in his hands and it's throwing him off. And that's why, in some ways, the philosophy Shaq Lindsay's been saying on this chat today that we maybe need to use Brandon off ball more is smart. Because when you put him on ball, well, somebody's going to come there and just nudge him. All they need to do is just push a little elbow into the side of him, and that moves his body over a little bit, and his shot is off. And that's kind of what they're doing to him right now. And that's kind of why he looked so bad with some of his shots last night. Is because, there's bigger, physical, stronger Rockets players running up to him like Amon Thompson and just kind of nudging him. And all of a sudden his shot is just a half inch off, you know? That's kind of what it is. Fiercey's putting the squirrel on blast. The squirrel learned and he left. It's kind of funny because I can yell at it and look at it. I'm sorry for yelling on the show. And it looked at me through the window and said, yeah, you know, it's like that. We've been through this. And then it just like goes down and leaves. So yeah, it was effective. I didn't get up, and it absolutely listened to me and left. It's gone. It's not in the yard anymore. Gaming with Alexandro. Oh, Alessandro. I wonder if this is Alessandro, man. Let's see what he's saying here. Thanks for the subscription. Let's see. Alex and Rue. I think that's Alex and Rue. Okay. In my opinion, we should sell high on Brandon this offseason, sell RJ and get rid of Grady, sign Mamu and target players that are 3 and D players until Raps don't put shooters around Scotty. They will never max him. Okay, this is all right. This is a really strong first comment for a first time person. And in some ways, you stepped in doo-doo already. Yeah, this is not a normal Raptors channel. This is not Locked In Raptors with Sean Woodley. This is not anything from Raptors Republic. This is not Raptors Digest. This is not Luca Rosano. This is not Hughes shall not be named, the fuckface who went after Fred VanVleet so hard, and number one Scotty lover Pensair. This is the Raptor Freak channel. And the thing we do here is we're very much for the team in positive ways. And in some ways, this is very drastic what you're saying. This is very, very drastic to me. My belief is our starting five is very good, but I'll be open to one of your ideas, and that is the thing about Brandon. You know, I thought if there is somebody in the starting five that we could flip and get somebody different for, it is Ingram. Because in some ways, you know, he is valuable. He's on a, like he said here, sell high on him because he's returned, he's healthy. And in some ways, there is a lot of value in possibly exploring trades for what we could get for Brandon Ingram. But RJ's off the table. You don't do jack shit with RJ. And you can step in doo-doo real fast with me when you even suggest the idea of RJ Barrett in another jersey leaving Toronto. Nah, see, this is the thing. I'm a very, very Homer fan. And RJ is truth. RJ is our city. RJ is me. And when you say you want to trade RJ, I'm taking it personally. And I've kicked people off for this channel for even suggesting this shit. Because look, that's a childhood man's dream. You know, he dreamt of being a Raptor, and he's living his dream right now. I'm not trying to ruin his dream. And in some ways, the man has not done anything to warrant wanting to trade him. So it's off the table. I'll look at the idea of trading Brandon because in some ways there may be merit to selling high on him, like you said. But man, you shouldn't have brought RJ in on this either, because I would have listened to your comment up until then. Yeah, no, we don't do nothing with RJ. RJ stays a Raptor as long as possible. And the day it possibly happens, whether it's hopefully a retirement that ends his Raptor career, you know, it's going to be sad either way. But damn, for sure don't want to see him get traded. And everybody who brings up RJ being traded over and over again, I hate these people so much. They're my enemies. You don't want to be my enemy. I don't even know you, bro. So I would just say this. If you come back and you have comments from my show, don't ever bring up trading RJ again, because this audience will not take kindly to it here. He's our hometown hero. He's a Canadian through and through. He plays on a level of pride and a connection to our team that's undeniably pure and true. And I would never, ever question the intentions and the willingness to try and win in RJ Barrett's body while he's playing a Raptors jersey. That's priceless. And you don't frivolously just throw him in a trade machine, is what I'm saying right here. All right, let's see. We got a call. I don't even know if it's the right thing. We'll see what it is. Hello, caller. You're on the Raptor Freak radio show. How are you this morning?
Vinay. From Action Collections and Receivables Management regarding an important business matter.
Okay.
This is not a sales call.
Ooh.
If you are Vinay, please press 1 now or return our call today if you are not.
I am not Vinay.
Please contact our office so that we can update our records.
Stop calling me.
I can be reached at 1.
All right. We're going to call. Yeah, I don't want any of y'all calling them, so I'm not going to put the number out. So, yeah, Vinay call. That's funny. I thought somebody was calling to stand up for RJ. All right, get rid of Grady. I don't know. We got to see if Grady's still salvageable by the end of this year. If Grady doesn't come around and show signs that he can get back to possibly something like he was last year, I'm okay with moving on from Grady this summer. Mamu, in some ways, he may not be worth the price he's going to get this summer. He's going to be paid a lot more than he is this year. And you know what? We got the value of this year. It's sure it'd be nice to keep him around the team, but I have no idea how they would do this. You're saying to do all that, to do that, to get Mamu to stay? I don't know. But we don't touch RJ. No, that's a big no-no. We don't do that. We can't step into that like that. That's something. If you're Alessandro, Mamu's friend, man, I love you, guy, and I can understand why you want to get your buddy to continue to be on this team. So I can be on that, man. I can be on that. Yeah. Yeah. Fiercely saying Lex's new friend, the squirrel. Yeah, I'm trying to be peaceful with the black squirrels. They're annoying though. They're annoying. They're not as bad as the big mama gray squirrel. That one was a feisty one last year. There was a lot of issues last year with the squirrels in my bird feeder. Well, this year I'm building a new bird feeder and I'm gonna make it squirrel free. Yeah, I've already got the design and I'm understanding what I'm gonna do, and hopefully it'll be exactly effective the way I intend it to be. We'll have to see. You never know until you test it against those wily little guys. Raptors champ saying RJ has played the best and most consistent for the past 3 years. That's right. That's why we don't do this. That's why we don't do this. No, no. Take our king of Toronto's name out your mouth. Is what I say right there. Take his name out of your mouth. And just because the media trains us to disrespect RJ, which is so sad and pathetic, because honestly, they should be pivoting into marketing him as the hometown hero, as a Canadian hero, as somebody who's Canadian, but the hockey media doesn't want RJ to be bigger than he is because they're scared of another Vince Carter. And the people in the States hate the Canadian guy in Toronto playing for Toronto. So any energy that comes at like to say, oh, we should trade RJ, I'm just expecting you to be these people. Either you're a Canadian that loves hockey and doesn't want RJ to blow up, or you don't understand his true value, which is beyond just the stuff he does on the court, or you're somebody who is like down low, actually like maybe a Knicks fan who's acting like a Raptors fan, who's just coming in like a Trojan horse and trying to say, oh, you guys need to trade RJ because you hate fucking how happy RJ is playing for the Raptors compared to when he played on the Knicks. Because there's an obvious difference. There's a very obvious difference that RJ Barrett is having the time of his life playing for the Raptors red jersey. And the blue jersey was tough to play in. It was toxic. And it was a learning process. But here, he's happy. And it's, oh my gosh, God forbid RJ Barrett's happier as a Toronto Raptor than a New York Knick. And then Knicks fans get all pissy and they're like, we need to get him traded off the Raptors. That's the energy I believe that this is this shit, honestly. That's it right there. That's it right there. That's right. Let's see. Danny's here. Danny, the electrician. Great to have our tradesman in. Great to see you, Danny. I hope you've been doing very, very well. The way we play is predictable. Like you can see how the game is going to turn out before it's even over. Yeah, in some ways, I can read games and how the possibilities of winning is. And I saw a game we could have won last night. Yeah, you can predict it for how it's going to go, but you don't know for sure. There is a possibility that RJ, Emmanuel, Scotty, and Brandon wake up and they go crazy in the fourth and we do win it. I know it doesn't seem like that's predictable right now because of the outcome of a lot of the games recently, but there were games like this last fall in this season that were like this, where we could have predicted, well, the Raptors are going to surge up and be a badass fourth quarter team and win. It's not right now. It's not right now. We can look at trends of the game. We can look at, well, this is happening in the game where Durant's going crazy. They do seem to have a rebounding advantage, but we're competing with them. The score is kind of close, and we are the kind of team that can go above and beyond at the end of the game and rise up and take the win. We were that earlier this season. We're not that recently. So the opportunity was there. This was a winnable game. It's just that the Raptors didn't get enough offensive momentum going in the important parts of the game. They went stagnant, and the Rockets kept scoring. And, well, we couldn't even get to 100 at the end of the game. I was like, y'all get 100. And Elijah Martin messed up and sat on the floor right at the end of the game. Elijah, why couldn't you break that barrier? Because as soon as the game was over, Kevin Durant got on the microphone and said, we did so good today. We held them to under 100 points. Motherfuckers, in garbage time. Why didn't you go get 2 more points and put us at 101? Like, seriously, what the fuck, Elijah Martin, sitting on the job, sitting in the middle of the lane instead of putting the ball through the hoop right at the end of the game. Where's your fucking pride for this? Seriously, you let them hold us to under 100 so that Kevin Durant could brag to the crowd after the game. We held this great team to under 100. I'm so proud of my team. Well, you didn't need to do that. Y'all could have made one more free throw. Y'all could have fucking got that basket on the last possession, Eliza, instead of sitting down on the job. I mean, seriously, what is this now? In some ways, here. Trevor J saying this: Houston, Oklahoma City, they all were bad one time, just like the Raptors. It takes time to go where you want to be. So if God takes 6 days to form the world, it didn't happen for him, so it wouldn't happen for the Raptors. It didn't happen for him right away, so it won't happen right away for the Raptors, is what he's saying. Yeah, and this is exactly right. You just named 2 teams, and we'll add Detroit to that list, and just think about where they were just like 3 years ago. All 3 of those teams. I mean, the Thunder were up there already, but we know the Thunder were down in the doldrums in the recent past, where they were not a good team, where they were not winning many games at all. Houston, damn for sure, was one of the worst teams in the league just a few years ago before Fred VanVleet showed up. And, well, yeah, Trevor's spitting facts right here. He's exactly right. This is exactly right here. Yeah, Raptors champ saying a momentum kill was that pass down the court by Shed for Sandro. Yep, that was another one. This is another thing. Like, I hate this. Shed has done this every once in a while. He periodically makes this home run pass that he tries to go all out, and it's way too strong, and it's out the inbounds the other way. And it's pissing me off because you got possession. You're not taking care of the ball. You think you want that home run pass, and you're going to get it, but it's unrealistic. And in some ways, you're not the best passer, Shed. In some ways, that's one of the things I'm learning more and more this year is for our backup point guard to be such a good defensive player and maybe sometimes a good offensive player when his shot is hitting. He's not a good passer. And his passing needs to be very much worked on this summer. He has to go full in on that category the most. Because that was a bad decision, overthrow. He did not have to do that. I know our philosophy is to push the ball up the court as fast as possible, but sometimes we get burned on that by over analyzing. Sandro with his dumbass cross court passes where he just kind of throws it chest level across from one side of the 3-point line to the other side, and there's all this wide area. Someone can just run in and grab it, Jabari Smith or somebody. I hate that pass, that half-ass pass. That pass should never be made by our team ever again. That one from one side of the 3-point to the other side of the 3-point across the top of the 3-point line. That is such a pick-offable pass. And if you're going to throw it with such a sad little Sandro Mamu, they're going to run through and take it every time and run it down there for a dunk every single time. So maybe we need to bar some of the very risky, dumb passes that are leading to high percentage turnover possibility and throwing the ball up the court like he did to Sandro, or Sandro throwing the ball across the top of the 3-point line. Those fucking need to be stopped. There's a difference between trying to have a speed up offense, but gauging things correctly and understanding what is possible. Scotty and RJ are masters at this compared to Jamal. Scotty and RJ can do the long pass up the court and get it on a pinpoint spot where RJ's catching it like a receiver in the NFL and Scotty's the quarterback. They can do this. They can do this Kyle Lowry stuff, but Shed, you can't. And in some ways, you should be barred from it. If you get a rebound underneath the basket, don't be looking up the court to make a home run pass. You better put that ball on the floor, dribble 2 or 3 times, make an intermediary pass, and maybe the second guy who gets the ball will be able to finish the good pass up the court. But you're going all the way for it when you're not a good track record for doing this. In fact, you've thrown the ball out of bounds that way at least a half a dozen times this season in this very same way. Yeah, you should have that privilege revoked. You're not a football passer up the court, Jamal Shed. And you need to do an intermediary half-court pass to either RJ or Scotty, and then they'll finish the rest of it, or Emmanuel or whoever. Because this is just bullshit. This is a throwing the ball away. This is burning money kind of shit, Shed, when you throw the ball up the court so carelessly with really an unrealistic pass that Sandro's not fucking Manute Bol or Olivier Ryu. He's not fucking 7'8". He can't catch a ball that's way the fuck up there, my guy. So stop doing this. You should have your privilege revoked on the long home run pass. You're not Lowry, bro. So go ahead and make the intermediary pass, and I'm sure the guy next will speed it up, and you'll still get the ball up the fast court like Darko wants. Because, yeah, that pass pissed me off, and that was a momentum killer. That was a huge one because there was an opportunity to go get closer to them, and it just, and you look, you could tell Shed's in his head, and he's kind of beating himself up mentally because he knows he's playing so badly right now. And he can't catch a break. In some ways, he's missing 2 free throws. That's a sign that, yeah, players just are shitty sometimes. And Shed is going through a shitty period right now. He's very sheddy. Sheddy. That's not the right word. Kaloy's here. Good morning, everyone. How we feeling, gang? Those losses are getting thing, but still being positive. Lex, how do we explain the stagnation in the second half? Is the trend now? Is it conditioning or just the other team adjusting or the players shifting the ball or the players shitting the bed? It's the players shitting the bed. That's probably number one. There's number two is they do have scouts and plans to take us away from the things we do well and force us to do things that we don't do as well, and we don't do them as well. Yeah. A huge factor, as I said earlier in the stream, is Brandon Ingram being absolutely ineffective, and we're still trying to use him over and over again, and he's not getting any more effective as the game goes on. And that's probably the biggest problem there is, beating your head in the wall, beating your face up, and you're not getting anywhere because you're just banging your head in the wall trying to make Brandon Ingram score for you. Those are probably the three right there. Right there. There is a scout. The teams do know our weaknesses, and they are allowing us to play into them. But also the same thing is like, stagnated plays because of momentum shifting failures, like the pass shed up court, like a missed free throw, like Brandon Ingram just not making any of his shots in the fourth quarter. That's all contributing right there. Yeah, and it's not a trend. It's just a temporary thing we're dealing with right now. Temporary. That's right. Trevor J saying Jalen Brunson reveals he can play for the Jamaican national team. Okay, I don't care. I really don't care. I swear at the end of the game last night, Scotty talked to Amen Thompson and they were smiling. And it looked like Scotty may have asked him if he's playing for Jamaica. And Amen went, yeah, I'm playing for Jamaica. And then Scotty said something back to him. And I don't know what he said because he had his back turned to us. And I can lip read. And I do try and read what these guys are saying. That's why when they're covering up their faces like this, when they're talking to each other, in some ways it's like smart because there are people like me out there that can lip read. But Scotty didn't have his face to us at the end of the game when he was dapping Thompson after the game. I don't know. He might have told Amen, well, I'll see you there. I don't know, man. Could Team Jamaica be that stacked that it's got Norman, the Thompson twins, Scotty Barnes, and Jalen Brunson on it? That's an insane team right there. That would be something else right there, man. Trevor's saying today's FIBA women's basketball team, Canada versus Turkey at 1:30. Fiercey already said this, man. Fiercey said this like a long time ago. You got to read all the comments, Trevor. You're a duplicating machine. You duplicate the news and the posts often. I'll post something, and then like an hour later, you're posting the same thing that I already posted. I'm like, I appreciate you doing what you do, though. Yeah. Kaloy saying, I'm against that trading BI narrative. I just don't know why they don't use multiple screens to get Ingram free instead of him just ISOing like crazy. Well, that's what we got to do. We got to change it up. We got to make it fresh. The Raptors are too stale. Maybe our Ingram is too stale with his offensive moves, and he's too predictable. And he's got to do some things a little different himself, let alone the coaching staff and the play sets and the ideas and the play calls. There's got to be something done because they figured him out, and it's not even a season in. And Brandon's very figured out right now. We got Shea Gilgeous-Alexander in here, Team Hurricane. That's right, man. Team Jamaica will be a force. In some ways, it's not totally good for the U.S. I mean, I should say the U.S. or Canada, because the Americas are catching up. Canada's been catching up with the United States, but now you've got things like Cat on Dominican. You've got Alvarado and the Puerto Rico team. They've gotten better. They've always been kind of a power, but they've still be a very dangerous team. Argentina and Brazil are always historically dangerous teams. I mean, Argentina with Manu, they were the only team that beat the U.S. in the history of Olympics or anything. But now Canada, we're definitely getting stronger, and we're definitely reflected that in the FIBA ranking. But the Americas group is tougher overall, especially if Jamaica is going to be getting all these hired guns and they're going to be competing a little bit more. You think about things like Bahamas with DeAndre Ayton. These teams are getting NBA talent on them all of a sudden. And, teams island nations that were easy walk in the park for Canada and the US are no longer that anymore. They have NBA caliber players that are tough to beat. And that's good for competition. It's going to be tougher for Canada. It's already tough with Canada with USA being so dominant in our group world because there's only a certain amount of berths to the Olympics from each world region. And USA is always penciled in there. Canada should be penciled in there for good going forward too. But yeah, if there's only like 2 or 3 spots or 3 or 4 spots in the Olympic cycles, who are those other America's teams that are going to be joining the US and hopefully Canada in these brackets and these world FIBA events like World Classic and the Olympics? Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. Good to see you. Thanks for the subscription, SGA. I admire your work, and you're at a very high level right now. Yeah, I can tell it's him because it's his picture. Usually saying Bi moving off ball to get mid-range shots instead of threes seems easier for him. Ingram doesn't look the type of to attempt that many threes per game. Yeah, I really just think a dramatic shift away from him could be very good, just for a little while, especially if he's sick, especially if his thumb's not right. A dramatic shift away from him and just put it on RJ. And if Brandon wants to score, he needs to go find out ways to score off ball and make it happen that way. Maybe he's going and rebounding all of a sudden. He's putting rebounding offensive putbacks. Maybe he's all of a sudden because he's not getting the ball. We're crashing into the lane and he's getting kicked out to, and he's getting open threes off ball. That's the kind of stuff I want to see right there. That's the kind of stuff I want to see right there. Yeah. Fiercely saying Embiid on Team USA it's a joke. It's absolutely a joke. That's why that's why it's so stupid that he was on Team USA, because like what happens when we do these all-star games like World versus USA? Which fucking team is Joel L supposed to be on? Like seriously. He wasn't healthy and he wasn't all-star this year and nowhere near an all-star. And but what if he had been this year? Which team would they have put him on? Would they put him on a Team USA team or would they have put him on the world team? It's confusing now because he's not playing for the right country in the Olympics. He should be playing for Cameroon and at the very least maybe France, but not the United States. It's stupid. I never agreed with Olajuwon playing for the United States either way back because it's dumb, man. Y'all should be helping your countries get up out of the mud. Siakam will show up for Cameroon. Why won't you, Joel Embiid? Because you're a big dummy and you want easy access to victories and feeling good because Philly doesn't get that. And you can feel good about getting a gold medal, piggybacking with the United States, when actually, in some ways, at the Paris Olympics last year, Joel, you were a failure. You didn't help them win. In some ways, a lot of ways, you're a big dummy failure at the Paris Olympics last year. So what the fuck were you even doing wearing red, white, and blue? Like, which team is he on? On the All-Star game? Is he on World or USA? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. SGA saying rightfully so. Yeah, that's not SGA, Fiercey. Come on now. He's got a routine. We know that his routine is not being on the Raptor Freak channel at 9:30 with us. SGA is not deviating his routine with Aries and his shoes and his girlfriend. His wife, and all the things he does. He don't have time to be in here. We're not a part of his consistent routine and what he does. So this is not SGA. I can tell. I'm just going to figure it out from that because I know SGA's moniker. He's so consistent. Right? Darko was here for real. It wasn't Vince McMahon when he came in here, though. It was not Vince McMahon. I'm pretty sure that wasn't Vince McMahon. But the name that came in here that said Darko Rajakovic was actually Darko the one time he came. Fiercely saying, speaking of Ayton, I closely watched Capella yesterday, and his fundamentals are 200% legit. Ayton did not have to shade him. Totally different caliber. Yeah, I don't even know about that stuff. I know Ayton said something about Clint Capella, but honestly, he shouldn't be saying nothing because in some ways, a more pure, fundamentally right kind of NBA player is Clint Capella over DeAndre Ayton. Sure, Ayton, you're a scorer. Sure, you're talented more than him. Sure, there's all kinds of other stuff. But you know what? If you ask me who I would rather have on my team, I'd rather have Clint Capella on my team than DeAndre Ayton. So whatever he said about him, I don't even know what he said. That's my statement on it. That a winning player, a more winning player, a more reliable player, a better player in the NBA is Clint Capella than DeAndre Ayton. Because DeAndre Ayton's a joke. DeAndre Ayton's a very talented guy who's wasting his life. DeAndre Ayton's a toxic teammate. DeAndre Ayton has been wasting a whole bunch of people's times on different franchises for his whole entire NBA career. Clint Capella has been a solid backup big. They'll get you lots of offensive rebounds and blocks. And his work with Trae Young in Lob City in Atlanta, and for those years is very high level. Yeah, I respect Clint Capella's career way more. And I look at Clint Capella as a more desirable player to have on my roster than Ayton. Ayton's fool's gold. He's fool's gold. This guy's saying Embiid Finals MVP 2026. Yeah, SGA would never say that. That's definitely not SGA. That's definitely not SGA. We should trade Scotty Barnes for Drew Holiday. See, this is just crazy talk now. All right, you stepped in it on that one. I'm gonna give you a strike for saying such ludicrous things. All right, just one strike. You get 3, you're kicked off the channel though. Just so you know. UC saying this SGA has to be a troll. Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah. Yeah, and Fierce's giving me my cutoff. No more consistent comments, it seems. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I don't know. All right, let me make sure I get all my tabs. We are at 2:15, and I'll make sure I get done at a decent time here. All right, let's see. On Instagram, just real quick, I'm going to just do an Instagram story of the day. I'm not going to do all the stories, just what I think is the most interesting. Both Jonathan and Scotty Barnes are posting a very celebratory Instagram story today for Brian Macon. Brian Macon has been announced to be the head coach of Wellington Sports Academy, and that is Scotty's trainer and a very good friend to both Mobo and Barnes. And both of them are celebrating Brian's new achievement of being the new head coach of Wellington Sports Academy in Florida. So that's fantastic, man. Congratulations, Brian Macon, on your new position. And I know that the West Palm boys are very proud of you. Very, very, very proud of you. Yeah, let's see. On the ESPN Power Rankings came out this morning, and it's not good for the Raptors. We've slid from 11 to 14th in the eyes of Zach Cram. And this is what he's saying basically about what's going on with the Raptors and why he put us down further. Since last week, Toronto's odds of landing a top 6 seed have fallen from nearly 70% to 57% as of Tuesday morning. That's not necessarily Toronto's fault, but rather a reflection of simultaneous winning streaks from Miami or Orlando. The Raptors need to string together some wins of their own to keep pace. However, and they haven't won more than 2 games in a row since January. They have a 7-8 record since that last winning streak ended. Yeah, we've been losing a bit more on the down low recently, but it's because the strength of schedule has gone up against the top teams in the league. But we need to balance this by making more wins happen. And we got to take care of a game against the Pelicans tonight desperately. Because if we don't, and these other teams win, we are going to go down in the standings, just like they're saying right here. So, yeah, we dropped spots, and they've actually put Orlando and Miami above us in the rankings as of this ranking. So they don't have faith in us. They think we're going to lose these guys, the spots we're in, and we're going to go below them. Well, let's see who they're playing. In some ways, we should start watching them more closely because we need to see who they're playing tonight. Orlando is hosting Cleveland tonight. So maybe the Cavaliers can help us out. Either way, we're going to win with one of those teams losing. In some ways, it'll help us if the Cavs and James Harden actually beat the Magic tonight. Now, we know Miami won their game against Washington last night on the back of Bam Adebayo's historic performance. So they're feeling real good, especially from such a dominant, crazy-ass game like that. But they're not playing tonight. New York is in Utah, and I doubt the Jazz will be able to help us in any kind of way. The Rockets are on the road, and they're playing a back-to-back also like us in Denver. So they're going to go see David Roddy and Nikola Jokic. Yeah, and Charlotte's in Sacramento, so they're actually probably going to win tonight, and that will help them in their climb out of the play-in. So, yeah, it's getting really, really congested, really, really close. And the Raptors have to keep up their pace of winning, like Zach Cram said. He's exactly right about that. All right, let's see. Is there any breaking news on here? I don't see any breaking news. Happy birthday to former slam dunk champion and former Raptor Fred Jones. Fred Jones played for the Pacers most of his career, but he did play a season in a Raptors jersey, 39 games. He started 9 of them and averaged 7.6 points per game. So we got to say a happy birthday to former Raptor Fred Jones, a former dunk champion, and he's 47 years old today. So happy birthday, Fred Jones, former Raptor. There you go. All right, let's see. Y'all check on your fantasy teams. I'm playing Fiercey this week, and she's beating me right now. My score and my fantasy team as of right now is 416. I got 416 points. That's pretty cool. You see, I am Toronto, like RJ, just like him. All right, let's do the classic card. Oh, wait. Real good. The straight goods on Canadian goods. I'm doing Sprague Cannery again today. Guys, if you want to buy baked beans at the grocery store and you want to keep it Canadian, Bush's Beans ain't it. No. You can get with a Canadian baked beans company, and it's Sprague. Sprague Cannery is right here in Ontario, and we want to support Canadian industry. This is produced in Canada. This is maritime baked beans with blackstrap molasses. Woo-wee. Doesn't that sound good? But yeah, you want to support Canadian companies, you got to know the brands. And I don't see no Sprague Cannery commercials on TV. So I'm going to do a solid for them and put it on blast on my show. If they don't have Sprague at your grocery store, they do at mine. You can ask for it and tell them, I want to be more interested in buying more Canadian products. And I've heard of a company called Sprague for baked beans. Could you guys carry that here? Because I want to support Canada's economy more and more. Here's another type of it is the organic Sprague baked beans. So go on and get those Sprague baked beans. If you're going to get baked beans, don't get Bush's baked beans. Don't get American beans. Get Canadian beans. That's right. Canadian beans. That's right. That's it right there. Kaloy saying, Raptors fans, I know we lost all the ground we have for holding on the 5th seed, but now the real fight starts. They still have time to turn everything around. We saw the wins before, and those are real. Yeah. Health with our big guys will help. And, face-to-face matchups with the Southeastern teams of Orlando and Miami and executing and beating them head-to-head is going to help a lot. Those games are going to be so important. We're going to play Orlando before the end of this month. We got to beat them. We've got to beat Orlando. We beat them and Miami a lot already this year. We need to beat them for the rest of the games we have against them this year. 2 games against Miami in the last month of the season. Those are going to be so crucial. So crucial. Now, we don't get to see Atlanta or Cleveland anymore because we played them already. And same with Charlotte. And those are the other teams that are kind of around us. But those games against, and Philadelphia too. I think we're done with Philly too. But Orlando and Miami, those are very huge games. Very, very huge games. That's right. SGA saying, laugh out loud, Scotty going to get released for speeding 100 miles per hour in the summer. Yeah, I don't know. That's your strike 2. You know what? I'm going to give you 3 strikes and kick you out. Because you know what? You're disrespecting our great Canadian MVP by impostoring him. So I'm going to go ahead and kick you out. I appreciate you for your sub, but I don't need it. And I'm not trying to get all the subs in the world. I'm not trying to kiss everybody's ass so they watch me or pay attention or anything like that. I'm not dying for that. I'm not caring about this channel monetarily in any respect. This is a clubhouse. This is for Raptors fans only and not for people that are impostoring the greatest Canadian player in the world, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So goodbye. Bye, Felicia, as they would say. And I hope that you have a good life. And maybe, if you're going to be SGA, stay true to his character. Maybe you can pull it off if you're actually acting like SGA. If you act like him, maybe I'm dumb enough to feel like, oh, it's SGA. Oh, it's SGA. Wow. But if you don't act like him, I'm not going to think you were him. Excuse me. Shaq Lindsay saying, it looks like the U.S. is going to say mission accomplished, and the Iranians are worse off than they started before. Lesson to be learned. Careful what you ask for. The things that happened in Venezuela and Iran this year already are really fucked up. They're like military offenses by the United States. They're absolutely not constitutional because the government never agreed on doing this. Donald Trump just did it. And that's a big no-no in the American government system. No president has been allowed to do this ever in the past. They've gotten impeached. They've gotten in trouble. But for some reason, this idiot guy is so like crazy and doing so many bad things that he just is getting away with a lot. There needs to be a reckoning for him and his crimes because he has crimes left and right. He has crimes of pedophilia and rape and murder and all kinds of stuff, crimes against humanity on a huge level scale, like Adolf Hitler. He is very much on that level like that at this point. You know, maybe the regimes of Maduro and the Ayatollah that they just killed were brutal and wrong for those people. But, you know, him coming in and shaking it up, you know, sometimes there's stability in that brutal bad thing. And it goes through a cycle of power where different bad people come in. There's a power struggle and there's even more violence and even more misery. It's destabilizing. Now, the whole thing about this is the United States is doing this for Israel. And in some ways, Israel owns Trump in the United States. It's sad, but true. And it's totally messed up. And it's like this whole movement of protect Israel and all this other bullshit causes a lot of this crap. You know, Israel's wanted to attack Iran for years and years, but Barack Obama, Joe Biden, even Trump before, and George W. Bush, they all said, no, we're not your puppet. We're not going to go do this. But Trump has become their puppet and is allowing this and has indulged them on what they wanted to do. And now they're irresponsibly going around. See, the most insidious thing about what they're doing in Iran is they're bombing infrastructure. They're bombing hospitals. They're bombing schools. They're bombing plumbing. They're bombing sewage. They're bombing oil refineries. And this stuff is toxic to the environment once it's bombed. And also, this stuff takes so long to rebuild. This is the horrors and the devastation of the genocide of Palestine by the Israelis in Gaza. They destroy all the buildings, all the hospitals, everything that society and civilization is. They're doing that to Iran right now. Is that going to make anybody better off in that country, even though there was a dictator before that was slaughtering protesters in the street? No, not when you're destroying their hospitals and their schools. How did they rebuild? You're making that country a pile of rubble. That's the thing they're not saying about this that's messed up. And the environmental degradation of Iran is horrible for the health of the people. So yeah, there's evil all around this in different ways, you know, and it really has provoked Iran to start trying to bomb places like Israel and close up the strait for the trade and all that stuff. And some of this is puppet master stuff with the people that produce oil and trying to manipulate the prices of oil and do weird stuff. You know, in some ways, this is a guise for the oil industry to just stay relevant in some ways, because they are becoming less and less relevant with green energy and sustainable energy taking over more and more around the world. Yeah, it's in some ways, there's a lot of last gasp efforts by racists, by oil industry, by all kinds of fucked up contingencies of groups and organizations and people that are absolutely fucked up. And hopefully at some point, justice will be served and come around. You know, the people in The Hague are already saying, yeah, we've got all kinds of indictments and charges against these people for war crimes ready to go, because the engagement in Iran is a war crime. It is illegal and it isn't right. Even if they killed a bad guy who was in charge, it doesn't mean the next guy's coming is going to be any better. It just means there's going to be chaos, confusion, and destruction that wasn't there before. You're going to have his son be in charge, and maybe he's more of a puppet to Trump, and that's all he wanted, because he just wants his ass to be kissed and to feel like he's important. But it doesn't matter, because they've destroyed the cities. They've destroyed things that are important to society to be able to live. And that's the worst thing about this. Seriously. And it's crazy because his people are turning on him like crazy. The Democrats are winning all the elections in the United States so far this year. And it really is a blue wave coming to repudiate and reject Trump world. And rightfully so. Every sane person with their right mind in the United States is voting against Donald Trump going forward. And even the people that were for him are turning on him because their sons are in danger of to go fight in this war. So Trump's trying to play it both sides. He's saying, well, the war is already over. I've already won it, but we need to do a little bit more winning. What the fuck do you mean by that? And then you're saying shit like, oh, there's going to be ground troops. We're going to put a bunch of U.S. troops on ground troops. That's not what these MAGA moms want to hear. And they're turning on you for it, because they don't want their sons to go die needlessly. And there are a lot of people that have already died. And forget about the Americans, because there are American soldiers that have died, and that's sad. But why is their lives more valuable than the thousands of Iranians that are dying in this right now? Like, seriously, once again, that's one of the biggest problems in this world, is that certain groups of people think that they're better and hotter shit than other people, and their lives are worth 1,000 of these other people's. That's the math of the Israelis and their bullshit. You know, everybody's equally valuable. You're not more valuable than anybody else, Donald Trump. Honestly, you're going to go in the ground just like everybody else will. And we'll all celebrate when that happens. Trust me. We will all celebrate, very much so, around the globe. So, yeah, it's a messed up situation. In some ways, the United States is a puppet for Israel. And that's what this is. That's what this is. And they're going to say this and this, we're oil and this. Bullshit. You guys don't even fucking know what you're doing. You just caused this shit just out of the blue because apparently your son-in-law had a hunch. That's what they're saying. Jared Kushner had a hunch. And he came to me and told me he thinks that Iran's doing something. So I went ahead and attacked them. Because my son-in-law, he's such a good young man. He's so smart. He just knows his stuff. I'm going to believe him and just start a war and get people killed just because my cool son-in-law said that he thinks this is going to happen. It's a mess all around. And, the common people, the ordinary people around the world suffer for it, whether it's getting their hospital bombed in Iran or your gas price all of a sudden $5 a gallon in the United States. Yeah, we'll suffer for this bullshit. Everybody will. And the sad thing is the people that caused it will enrich themselves off of the whole system of it in gross antichrist ways. And it's just a messed up situation all around. They say that this is going to be quick. No, that's not how this works. You stirred a hornet's nest, and now there's a hornet's nest of a very large country with a lot of people in it that, are retaliating, because rightfully so in some ways. You just went and bombed their school with a bunch of young girls in it, and you killed like 150 young innocent children at a school. And you're supposed to be the greatest military in the world with the most powerful, best weapons and things. Well, how the fuck did you get that so bad with targeting that? Or was that on purpose? Or do you not care? Or do you have no morals? Or are you a rapist pedophile? Yeah, I think that's what the last answer is right there. Why would he give a shit about living girls in an Iranian school and bombing the hell out of them when we have precise techniques and the best military in the world in the United States? Well, why would he care if he's already been choking and raping young women and leaving for dead in Epstein's Island? It's not like this president has any moral fiber or any right or wrong in his brain in any kind of way at this point. He's just mushy, demented, egotistical narcissist at this fucking point. So, yeah, that's it right there. That's it right there. I'm not dropping the mic. I like it. It's expensive. But I'll drop the mic on what's happening in Iran right there. You need your synopsis? You just got it. You just fucking got it. The war pigs. Yeah, go listen to Ozzy and Black Sabbath. They'll teach you the whole situation is going. Day of darkness, God is turning as the war machine keeps turning. Death and hatred to mankind, poisoning their brainwashed minds. Oh, Satan! It's too bad Ozzy passed last year, because in some ways we need him on stage singing the truth in the War Pig song, because that's what this is. Those motherfuckers are war pigs, enriching themselves off the death and misery of innocent masses. A small group of motherfuckers acting like they're chess players and everybody else is a pawn. It's fucked up, man. It's fucked up. And until we all stand up and throw the table upside down, we ain't going to change this. We have to do it as the masses, and the power of the people will do it. Hopefully, unless they're sedated with their phones and their coffees and their cushy lives, and they don't actually realize that they're the frogs sitting in the pot on the oven, and the water's getting temperatures risen up, and they don't even notice it until it's too late and they're cooked. That's the thing, y'all. We can be in our creature comforts and our distractions of sports and entertainment and celebrity tabloids. And then meanwhile, they're ratcheting up a dystopian surveillance state around us, and we have not fought against it, and it's just set in. So it's up to y'all if you want to wake up and do something about it, go ahead. Maybe it's just making more awareness to the changes that are coming and making people more ready to stand up against it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here as far as things. I'm pleading with people. I'm like, look, don't take the status quo. Don't take your cushy life right now for granted, because it's going to change in the next 2 years and everybody's going to be on high alert. And how are you going to do what you're going to do when the shit hits the fan? What is your plan? What are you going to do to help yourself survive? And what are you going to do to help humanity survive as a whole? Because that's the questions our generation and our time has to ask itself right now as we go into the age of AI, drones, robotics, replacing humans in the workforce. What are we going to do? What are we going to put up with? What are we going to allow to be the future for the generations coming after us, for your own children, for your grandchildren, for your nieces and nephews? What is it going to be? What world do we want to pass to them? We've always said that's what we should do. We should just pass a better world on to our offspring and our next generations. Well, we're failing right now because it looks like everything's going to go to shit very soon. And why would there be high depression rates in young people today? Why would there be less and less feeling like they have the opportunities that their parents have? Because it's very true. They don't. How much of them are going to ever own a home like everybody else got to before? Yeah, because we've destroyed this world with greed and the fucking people at the top making the rules, paying for the rules by buying the political system and running it to the ground and greed and destroying a good idea of what democracy and capitalism and free market society should be. But, if it's not regulated, nobody's making the rules at the top and they're just going to cheat at the game of life, Milton Bradley. They're going to fucking end the game at a certain point because they went too far and they fucked up everything for everybody with their fucking over excessive greed. That's it right there. That's it. And in some ways, they don't care because they'll be fine. They'll have all the robots do all the work and everybody else in humanity could die. That's their game plan right now. They don't give a shit about everyday citizens living. In fact, y'all are a drag. They're going to want everybody to die. And that's what they want coming forward, guys. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. And until you realize it and you understand it like me, then maybe you'll get more motivated and actually get up off your asses and stop worrying about getting coffees at Starbucks and taking your kids to school and going to your job and realizing there's much more important things that you need to be worrying about and fighting for and spend your time to do. A general strike is a very important thing that needs to happen. And it's happened a couple times in the last year to different effective results. But in some ways, that's just not a temporary motive for one day. You may need to fucking take a general strike for a couple months to really make them get it hit where it hurts. Because once again, like Luka can get fined for doing this at the refs, James Williams. Yeah. This is the thing right here. When this gets messed with by the top, where they aren't getting this exactly right, then they'll change. Then Jimmy Kimmel comes back to TV. Then things change for the good. That's what we have to understand. So we have to be collectively organized and get what we want by making the demands by saying this ain't going to fly here. But if we don't do it soon enough, we won't have any power because they won't need us anymore. And us a general strike and walking off the job won't matter because there's robots in the warehouse for Jeff Bezos. So let's not waste our time. In some ways, if you want to shape the world you want, people like Bernie Sanders and their ideas as a politician, we need to listen to them and we need to go with them. Bernie is warning us about data centers and AI like crazy right now, and the evil plans of people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos to replace the entire workforce with robots and nobody having jobs no more. And it doesn't matter if you're a laborer, you're not the only one that's going to get replaced. If you're a warehouse worker, it's going to be people that are working in offices that get replaced too, because all the white collar work can get replaced by AI just as much as the robotic grunt work of the blue collar workers in the warehouse. So there's nobody safe from this. If your ego's saying, well, I'll be fine, my job's good. Well, maybe if you're a fucking pallbearer or a mortician, he'll be fine because that's a economically safe job no matter what's going on. In fact, your business may be booming real soon. That's what I'm saying. Y'all think about this deeply on a high level and understand I'm Paul Revere and I'm running through the streets of Boston saying the British are coming. Except I'm saying AI revolution is coming, and y'all are not taking this seriously enough to the point where we need to get up in arms and change the people who are in power, because the people who are in power are going to make the decisions around all this stuff are the worst people to be in power to try and make these decisions right now. And that's part of the design, is to put an orange buffoon named Donald Trump in charge to be a distraction for the 1% billionaire elite class. They're not elites. They're fuckheads. They're, in some ways, they're absolute assholes and reprehensibles. I should call them reprehensibles. The 1% reprehensible billionaire class is going to make all the decisions for the whole of us. That's not democracy. That's dictatorship and oligarchy. That's what that is right there. Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna go a little extra time here. All right, let's finish it up. Let's get out of here. I've held you up long enough. Let's go Raptors. Let's go classic card. I'm about Slug Easy sitting there, man. Next, man, I agree with you, man. Let's just do the classic card. That's what Slug Easy's probably saying. I agree with you, man. I know what you're saying, man, but I'm here for the classic card. I want to play it. All right, here we go. Original Magic player. Who is this? Who is this? We see that's Klay Thompson's dad on the other jersey, in the Laker jersey. That's Klay Thompson's dad, Michael, in the 43. But who is the 33 for Magic? And this is the first year Magic. That is not Nick Anderson. That's a good guess, Isaac Campbell, though, because Nick Anderson was there. It's not Dennis Scott. That is not Dennis Scott. 3D was number 3, not 3-3. So 3D, Dennis Scott of Georgia Tech, is an educated guess, but it's not right. I don't even think Dennis Scott was an original Magic. I think he's a second-year Magic, because he's not a first-year pick. Nick Anderson was the first ever draft pick in the Orlando Magic's franchise history. And Dennis Scott, I think, was a second-year pick in the second year of their team. This man was original Magic. He was in the expansion draft that came to the Magic, and his team that he was on before was the Bullets. Terry Catledge. That's right. I knew Slug Deasy would get it. That's right. That is the great Terry Catledge. The Cat. He was the leading scorer for the Magic in their first season as a team, I believe. 19.4. It was either him or Reggie Theus. Yeah, first year. He had a couple years in Washington. He played in Philly in his rookie year. And then, yeah, he says led the expansion Magic in scoring and ranked scored second in rebounding in 1990. So he's the first ever leading scorer for the Orlando Magic in their original season. So he was like the Damon Stoudemire for them at that point. So, yeah, good job. I'm going to give you 200 points for that one, Slug Deasy. I know you're trying to make a climb on Fiercey, whether it's realistic or not, but I'm going to go ahead and give you 200 for knowing the great Terry Catledge. He's definitely a player that's forgotten. And in some ways, I don't totally understand why, because in some ways he was a very interesting player. So, yeah, Slug Deasy, 200 points on the classic card, Terry Catledge. 49-point game. Nice. Yeah, Terry was fun, man. Like I said, I was a big fan of the original Magic because that was my team at that time. I was a Pistons fan and a Spurs fan, but the Magic were such a shiny new toy as an expansion team, and like I was just really interested in that. And they were the team that they showed on TV in Tallahassee. So in Florida, I was in the Magic's market in North Florida. And so I saw the Magic games, and I got really into the NBA then. So I was really into the Orlando Magic in their first season with players like Jerry Ice Reynolds, Reggie Theus, Mark Akers, Jeff Turner, Moreland Wiley, Scott Skiles, Terry Catledge. You know, that's pretty much their team right there. I just named Nick Anderson was the rookie. Yeah. There you go. All right, let's do the wrap up, the rundown. The Raptors are playing the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. And let me see if there's any updates on the injury report. It's looking like Pirtle is day-to-day still with an illness. AJ Lawson is day-to-day. Trace Jackson Davis is day-to-day. So could it be possible he's available tonight? Murray-Boyles is out for sure. Colin will not be playing tonight, and Chucky Hepburn is out for sure. But that's different. They had Trace out, and they had Jakob out as just out, but they're both switched to day-to-day. So that's kind of showing signs that maybe we'll get Jackson Davis and Jakob both back today. That would be good. That would be good. If we don't get them back, I'm going to guess that maybe we're going to play the Notorious Barbecue Yak again. Not Yak, but Notorious Barbecue Mamu. Or maybe Jacoby gets the chance to start instead of Sandro. Who knows? On the other side of things, the only injury is Bryce McGowan's, and the Pelicans are pretty healthy otherwise. Yeah, they're pretty healthy. The referees for tonight in the replay center, Aaron Smith and Shea Flores. On the court, Brent Bernecki is the crew chief. He is even. He has the same record pretty much for the Raptors and the Pelicans. In some ways, that's a red flag. Jason Goldenberg is the referee. He heavily favors the Raptors. And then Tyler Ricks, the rookie ref, the very junior ref, he's exactly even with the two teams also. So one ref favors the Raptors and the other two are split right down the middle. And that's your referees. You know what? Eric Lewis is refereeing tonight in the NBA. He actually got called up, and he's the third ref for the New York Jazz game tonight. So he's out of the G League now at this point. That's very interesting right there. All right, guys. Thanks for watching me today. I know I went extra, almost 3 hours today. And I know in the last little bit, I did get very political. I feel like this is very strongly important to talk about, though. A lot of YouTube people are cowards. You know, Professor Rock, I unfollowed you. You know, other channels that are more mainstream and have millions of followers, they won't talk about politics because they're scared. They're scared little cowards. And in some ways, if you're saying, oh, we shouldn't talk about politics, I don't come here for politics. I come here for basketball. Everything is politics right now. And if we are ignoring politics, if you're trying to live a life where you don't pay attention to politics, well, you're going to get a world that's going to change and you have nothing to say about it because you didn't try and do anything about it. So I would say that right now, you may not think of yourself as a political person for your whole entire life, but if anything I said in the last hour has raised your suspicions or worries for the future and motivates you to get up off your ass and be a little bit more political in some ways, do it. Because this isn't about Democrat versus Republican. This is not conservative versus liberal. This is not left versus right. This is humanity versus the future. And the future right now is not being painted to be a very friendly place to humanity. So we have to look at this as an existential threat. We need to look at this as on a whole other level than the whole political sides. This is about humankind. This is about the future for your children and your offspring going forward. And if you give a shit about this stuff, you're going to give a shit about more about politics in your life right now. I can't afford not to be political. I don't understand how anybody can't afford to be political right now. And it's a cop-out to say, oh, why do we always have to bring up politics? Because don't you understand the world is drastically changing at a rate in the current time right now faster than it ever has in the entire history of the planet? And if you don't pay attention right now, everything's going to change and you're going to be on the other side of it. And you're going to be like, what the fuck? I wish I did more. Yeah, that's why. I'm not going to lose sleep in the future because I know I'm doing my part with my skill. And that's my voice on this channel. I'm going to do stuff in grassroots ways on the local level and people in my everyday life too. But I know one of the best weapons and things that I can do to bring to this is me being on this show every morning and disseminating information and understanding and ideas about the situations that are going on right now. So I just plead with you guys, stop being apolitical. Stop saying, I don't care. I'm not on either side. I'm in the middle. Well, the middle's under threat just as much as all sides. They're not going to be exclusionary just because you decided I'm a libertarian. I'm in the middle. I don't really give a shit about either one. I don't really play politics. Well, they don't care if you play politics. They're going to come do shit to you either way. So either you give a shit about what they're going to do. We shouldn't even call it politics at this point. We should call it survival. We should call it building the future. Do you care about building the future? It has nothing to do with necessarily politics. It has to do with building the future. How do you want to build the future? Do you want to build the future collectively as a whole, as all of us deciding it? Or do you want to build a future letting Elon Musk decide it for everybody else? That's what we're talking about right here. That's what we're talking about right here. That's right. That's right. Political dunk for me. All right, Isaac. All right. I know I'm preaching to the choir when I talk to you, but still, there's a lot of people I want to reach right now. And you could be very opposite politically with me, and we need to get on the same page right now because I'm not your enemy. I never was a leftist, liberal Democrat like me. I'm not a Democrat anymore. I left the Democratic Party when they shunned Bernie Sanders for Hillary Clinton. I left then. And I'm not a liberal either. I identify more as an NDP, but I did vote for Mark Carney because he was the most sane choice in what was presented in front of us. So, you can identify as right or left or whatever. We're on the same page right now because it's all the same page when we're just the regular citizens and the people in the society that got to live through some of the very, very not for the humanity of the people. We don't need to do this. That's right. I got the Anthony Parker 18. All right, from my political dunk. All right, y'all, I'm out. Thanks for watching. Let's go Raptors. Let's beat the Pelicans tonight. This is a team with a bad record. They're talented, and they've been playing better recently. We can't take them lightly. And I'm going to plead with Darko and the coaching staff. If Brandon is continuing to be bad, pivot away from him. Give the ball to somebody else. In some ways, there are signs that may be motivation for Brandon to come out against his former team and have a big night tonight. But there's no guarantees on that. I thought Shed would play good last night, and he didn't when he was back in Houston. So there's no guarantees Brandon's going to be back to old Brandon and be in the right Brandon tonight after the way he played last night. Maybe he'll have more motivation because he knows how dog shit he's been recently. And he's really going to want to be better in front of his former team and his teammates from before and playing against them in competition. Maybe he will get up for that and go back to being regular Brandon. But there's no guarantees on that. And if he isn't, Darko, have the guts to call somebody else's number. That's what I would say right there. All right, guys. I love you guys. And it's keep up the good fight. Seriously. And seriously, we are the rebels. And this is the Empire. And this is Star Wars. Lucas taught us this shit. So understand that energy is real. And there's a reason why Star Wars is so popular. Because that story is training for us and our mentality of how we have to be. We're the rebels. And they're going to be the Empire. And in some ways, we need to go to the moon of Endor and destroy the shields so we can blow up the Death Star. Okay? It's just that's an easy way to just put it in front of you to understand what we're up against. It's right there. All right, y'all. I love you guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow for a reaction, hopefully to a big win over the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. Let's go, Raptors. Come on, Brandon Ingram. Come on, Scotty. Let's go, RJ Barrett. Yeah!